Hello, everybody. I'm Matt Taylor. Welcome to Spitball. I'm here with my good buddy,
Kyle Amundsen.
Man, it's just sounding so natural these days.
Perfect.
Yeah. How you doing, buddy?
That's how you know it's going to be a good show. We just get that right, and it's all downhill from there.
Well, we know it's going to be a good show because the two of us are in front of the camera, right?
Right. It's like some kind of goddamn podcast miracle. Oh.
So last week was fun. Meta and Christine took over the podcast, and as you said, those bitches are popular.
Yeah. We couldn't help but notice you guys like them a lot. But don't get any big ideas. We're probably not going to have them back on the show.
Ever.
We know you thought they were wonderful, but I feel like it's our responsibility to tell you not to buy into their bullshit, because, like they don't even actually like you. I think ballers are knuckle draggers who sniff bicycle seats, I think was the quote that I got from Christine. I think they're... they've pulled the wool over your eyes. We're here for you. They are not. Like I said, don't even like you. We established on the show. We already talked about it. Like Meta's into witchcraft.
Definitely.
A lot of people don't know this, but Christine actually operates an underground dogfighting ring. These are not nice people. Right. And the worst part is they're basic as fuck. They are pumpkin spice latte drinking, infinity symbol tattoo having, live, laugh, love hanging on the wall, basic bitches.
Yeah, basic.
They just they don't care about you. But you're our people. We love the ballers. Your friendship and happiness is the jizz in the bukkake movie of our lives. Yeah.
How much of this did you come up with when you were on the pot shitting this morning? I got a picture this morning in my Facebook messenger. We have a group message, and I get a photo from Christine of Kyle on the pot shitting with his notebook.
I do a lot of my best thinking there. I don't think I'm the only one.
It's a good thing to wake up to.
I've got I had my notes all out in front of me and stuff. I had a little desk set up, we had company and stuff. I was kind of hiding out,
right.
And I could have done it anywhere. I'm not gonna lie. I was just on the shitter doing it. Whatever. I like to make the best use of my time.
Yeah, you're very good multitasking.
Yeah, I keep telling you, I'm working on becoming an organized person, and
right.
So yeah, actually, a small portion of that, because I've been thinking about it for a long time. Ever since they got so many views and stuff right out of the gate, I was like, don't think you're taking over our show.
Well, they did have a lot of fun. They did have a lot of fun with it. So
it was fun. I had a good time too.
Yeah,
it was nice.
It was fun.
We always have a good time when we get together.
Oh, for sure. I wanted to give a shout out to our friend and our former guest Ron Behrens. He combs through every episode and pulls off some of the best quotes. And last week, the quotes he pulled, and they just every time I read them, they just bust me up.
Well, I'll forget about shit that we say, and then all of a sudden, he'll post it. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's great.
So one that he posted was from Christine, and she said, "I've never been exposed to nerd before, Kyle." I thought that was a great line. And then this is from Kyle. My sister knows you. Your sister is a liar. But great. And then I say, what did you say last week about condoms the other day? And Kyle says, no thank you. Yeah, you were funny last week, man.
Man, I was feeling it, and I thought that was funny. Mostly, I look at you. I usually look at you, and if you're laughing, and gauge it by how hard you're laughing. And then I'm like, oh, I'm killing it today. Apparently, nice,
Yeah. Well, and then Christine is probably she's the kind of person that you would hire to come and sit in the front row of your comedy show. because she will laugh at everything that falls out of Kyle's mouth. Like, it's great.
She's even quick with the courtesy chuckles and stuff, and and a lot of shit, like, you guys hear me say a lot of shit like once a week, but she has to put up with my jokes fucking nonstop every day of her life, and she still is a good sport about it. So.
Yeah, she is pretty awesome. Yeah, very cool. So what else do you have on your list there, Captain?
Well, I mentioned Carnival Row, the show on Amazon.
Yeah, I saw the preview for it finally. I haven't started it.
I'm only a couple of episodes in, and so far, it's fucking dope.
So, like, the premise is that it's what is the premise?
It's like a Victorian era, like Europe type world.
Sherlock Holmesy, kind of like era world.
And except like fairies, like fey creatures and stuff exist. There's like centaur. I spotted centaurs in the second episode. I was like, fucking centaur too. But like pixies and shit like that. And yeah, it's like Orlando Bloom's in it. A few other notables, but he's the biggest celebrity in there. But yeah, it's a little bit Sherlock Holmes, a little bit a little reminiscent of Bright.
Yeah, Bright was awesome. We talked about that one before, but very, very good.
And it's fucking great. And I just got some feedback back on a show that I'd recommended to a friend a couple of days ago. Well, I got the feedback a couple of days ago. I recommended the show to him a while back. Have you seen Godless on Netflix? It was their short Western series.
No, I don't think so. I don't even think I've seen a preview for it.
And I have already expressed my love for Westerns. Not all Westerns, but there's some great ones out there, like Lonesome Dove, Silverado. And
did you watch Westworld?
And stuff like that. I do watch Westworld. I actually just one of the shirts I ordered recently was a Westworld shirt.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty dope.
I thought Westworld was fucking fantastic.
It's pretty cool. I didn't, it didn't blow my mind, but I mean, it's definitely got me watching. And
are you all the way through it?
Is it over?
I think it's done.
I thought there was another season coming.
Well, it's possible, but like it definitely wrapped on the last season.
Oh, I hope it's not done. But yeah, I did watch it all the way through.
I thought they did it. I mean, it's a very, very complicated story, and I don't want to wreck anything for you, but I loved the way they pulled it all together, and because it was very confusing.
Yeah,
and then
it really was. Which
by the end, you're like,
we don't get enough of.
No,
because most stuff that we watch is simple. Like really fucking simple. A lot of it insults our fucking intelligence because
that's
it's just
how
so
I feel all the time. It's like, yeah, like, no, you don't need to show me that fucking memory montage for me to like figure it out. You son of a bitch, just. I'm intelligent enough to do it. Just trust me. Trust your audience. On the other hand, there's a lot of fucking stupid people in the world. So
yeah, and you have to appeal to them if you want to sell shit.
So I'm sure that when shows do that, they had some focus group, and there was 5 fucking bimbos in the background. I'm gonna take it back. Mixed bimbos, and mixed gendered bimbos. Yeah. Bimbos of all genders. In the back going, I didn't understand. Well, why didn't they? And it's like,
this is dumb.
Yeah. So that's probably why that shit happens, but it drives me nuts. It'll actually I can really like a show, and then they insult my intelligence, and then I'm like, oh, fuck you, man. I'm done.
That's my problem with a lot of horror movies, a lot of action movies, stuff like that. And that's like, and it doesn't get any better, as time goes on and we get dumber as a society. That made me think of movies that we talked about before, like the old school shit, like Excalibur and the Three Musketeers and stuff. Shit that was made and geared towards smarter people than a reboot would be today. And that's unfortunate. Well, I mean, you know what? Actually, it's only unfortunate for the smart people. Kudos for all you dumb fucks out there.
None of our people who watch this show, obviously.
No, see, and
they are all very.
I've got a bad habit of doing that. you know, like and a friend actually mentioned that. You know, like I talk. I sometimes talk to the camera as if these people that that I dislike are watching, and honestly, I know that they're not fucking watching. They don't have the attention span for this shit. They're, you know, they're probably watching fucking, you know, I don't know, fucking cartoons or something right now.
Yeah, I was thinking Barney reruns.
Not that all cartoons are bad. Some cartoons are fucking brilliant, but yeah, I do that. Blah 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 blah. Calling people fucking idiots all the time and stuff like that. If I am thinking of anyone in particular, it's pretty much a given it's not you. Like a lot of the people that I like address these things to when I'm going on one of my angry rants, definitely would not watch this show. Definitely would not fucking watch this show. Probably because they would know that I was talking to them. But you know, so chances are if you see this, I'm not fucking talking to you. I can't stop with the angry rants. It's part of what I find so fucking liberating about this show and why I need it so much. When I want to rant about something, fuck yeah, you're gonna hear about it. But I can't think of anyone, you know, that actually watches the show that I would fucking, you know, call it fucking dumb fuck or cousin fucker or, you know, cocksucker or whatever. I like, you know, any of the shit that I like to call people. But yeah. Anyway, the old shows. I told you I was gonna. My nerd shirt for the day is the Lord Humongous, and I wanted to talk about the Road Warrior for a minute.
Right.
Well, so the Mad Max movies, there's 4 of them, and a lot of people have not seen the previous 3. They just saw Thunder Road. I don't know. Fury Road, whatever. The last one. Where Tom Hardy steps in as Mad Max. The role made famous by Mel Gibson. Well, Mel Gibson's fucking gone crazy, and he's goddamn, you know, 85 years old now, so he doesn't really make a great Mad Max. And Tom Hardy might have made a good Mad Max. I don't know. That movie was fucking weird. It's the worst one of the bunch. I'm going to rewatch it again just to make sure it sucked as much as I thought it did. And I'm going to try to do it with an open mind because there were some fucking cool things about that movie. Mostly that was new and shiny and the production value was high. But you know, Charlize Theron or whatever and Tom Hardy, like you'd think you couldn't go wrong. But you know, Mad Max doesn't really say shit anyway. Like he's one of the quietest characters in fucking cinema. But I don't think he had fucking 2 words in that movie. You know, like it was basically like all shit going on around him, like in a couple of action sequences with him in it. It was kind of weird for me. But the original Mad Max, that shit's from the 70s. You know, the production value's low. It was done in Australia.
The production value is like non-existent, but it was part of what made that movie like so cool was that it was just like a regular car with a bunch of shit welded on, you know.
Yes.
and like even Peyton like says, you know, like let's Mad Max that, you know, like that's become part of like the lexicon, and I'm not even 100% sure he knows that that's coming from a movie from the 70s where they welded shit on shit. He just is saying, let's beef it up and make it cool. Let's Mad Max that. So it's kind of cool.
And I mean, in the next one, the Road Warrior, which in my mind is the very best one, because that's the movie that you know, like I was raised on that shit. Like that's the movie that showed us like what we need to do in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. You know, like that's that we're all going to be wearing S&M gear and sporting mohawks and shit. You know, if you can do a mohawk, whatever. But so that's how shit's going to be apparently, and that got really huge in like pop culture and stuff like that. You know, like now can you imagine like, well, yeah, it's after a nuclear war. Why don't you have a fucking mohawk? Like, who are these fucking people? You know, what is this? The Road with fucking Viggo Mortensen? Weird. Which is fucking dude. Did you see that?
I did, but fuck it, like so goddamn depressing.
That was like gut wrenching. I mean, anyway, yeah. Don't want to. No, it's a spoiler alert. It's sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a tough movie, but it's
I
fucking
mean,
brilliant.
it's not even sad. Well, it is sad, but it's just
Depressing.
like, yeah, like hopeless. Like it's just the movie is hopeless.
Yeah, if you know anyone that's contemplating suicide, don't let them watch that fucking movie because that'll be, okay, where do I sign?
Like, it's time for me to kill myself. I'm gonna watch. Oh shit! What's the name of the movie?
the Road.
The Road, followed by The Notebook, and then I'm just gonna fucking eat a bullet.
Like you could be fucking all like zippity doo dah and shit. Like 1 minute you watch that show and you're gonna be fucking like, oh my god, I don't want to leave the house.
What is the movie that Viggo Mortensen was in where he played the Russian?
Eastern Promises.
Oh my god, that has a fucking fantastic movie.
That guy's a fucking brilliant actor.
Really
He's great.
Actor. And he was kind of. I mean, I know he had done some acting previous to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but not much. I mean, like that was his kind of debut, and I don't know if you know, but Peter Jackson had somebody else cast for that part before, and then
he was such a good actor,
but he wasn't like he wasn't completely sold on the character, and then so Viggo Mortensen was a late addition, and he had some catching up to do because he didn't do the sword training that the other guy had already been doing and everything like that. And Viggo, like, never, his sword was with him from the moment he got the role.
Dude, that guy's the real deal.
So like, if you ever get a chance, watch all the extended edition behind the scenes shit, because they're talking
about him getting into character and shit.
Yeah, and they'd be going to fucking like Pizza Hut and shit, and he would be like, he'd have his sword cradled in his arm like a baby. It's just never left his side, and I'm like, it's just something else. And then that Eastern Promises, there was some of the best knife fighting scenes ever, and I mean, it's super good. I mean, I don't want to ruin it, but there's a scene where he fights in a locker room with a knife.
He violates one of the rules: never fight naked.
But buck ass naked, dick flopping around, fucking just like in a fight for his life.
Yeah, they're rolling around the ground like balls to balls and shit. Like it's a mess, but
and it's so good.
It's a very it's a very legit fight scene.
Yeah, he's not like, oh, hold on, let me put my skivvies on before I fucking cut you with my knife. No, he's just like time to go, bitch.
I mean, I think like at one point he does apologize, like, sorry, my dick just touched your leg. But I mean, okay, no, that didn't happen, but it should have. Be a gentleman about it. But yeah, that was a fucking great movie, and he was like so brilliant in that. But those outtakes and shit from the Lord of the Rings movies and stuff, I just love watching guys that are really fucking serious about their craft and stuff. They're really passionate about it. Like I'm watching him talk about like being way like some of that was shot in these like far removed locations. A lot of it. And he's like, like sleeping in his costume. They're like sleeping in their costumes and shit like that. And they're fucking like, and he was like, one of the coolest things he said, and the thing that really stuck with me, he's like, we're just out there. We're like, we wake up and we just like breathe and live and eat, like all this, the work. And he's like, you barely feel the outside world for days and days. And, and I'm just like, you barely feel the outside world, like that's right. Fucking cool. Where the fuck was I? Oh yeah. So anyway,
we were talking about Mad Max.
Mad Max, yeah. But especially the Road Warrior. I love a great iconic villain.
Yes.
And the Humongous, the Lord Humongous, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla.
I need to revisit them. It's been years. I grew up with them.
$3.99. They're all $3.99 on Amazon.
It's too much. No, I'm just kidding.
It's worth it to rent. Like $12.99 or whatever to buy them. I'll probably buy them because I don't own them. I fucking should. But the Humongous is a great, super intriguing bad guy. The Humongous, he made me want to lift weights.
Oh, okay.
Take super like loving good care of my Smith & Wesson Model 29, and to rule the wasteland with a fucking iron fist. Until
everybody's got to have goals.
Until I could, until I had developed a powerful enough army to, create a fair and equitable society. The fucking brilliant bad guy. And that whole, just walk away, that his short speeches and stuff. He didn't even have a lot of talking parts in there, but he was just this awesome character, and it's like his cool henchmen and shit like that, like fucking super, like, I don't know, that shit just changed the whole idea of, I mean, there was so many like copycat movies and shit after that, like the whole idea of like punk rock fucking like looking post-apocalyptic thugs and shit, like all this stuff was fucking amazing. It's just good shit, man. Yeah, George Miller is the director. He even directed the last one, which was surprising considering how bad it was compared to the other ones.
Well, and then there was the Return of the Jedi of the series called Beyond Thunderdome.
Beyond Thunderdome, but that wasn't horrible. It was actually pretty good.
It just was clear, that they had. I mean, it felt like the first two, and it has been a really long time since I watched them, but it seemed like the first two were pretty organic, and then like Beyond Thunderdome was like was the decision was made to make this third movie. Now go write a script. Go whatever.
Yeah.
More so than like they went out to make the movie. I don't know.
But I mean, the story was still intriguing.
It was okay. Yeah.
And
Grace Jones, right?
That Tina Turner. Grace Jones was in Conan the Destroyer.
Are you sure she wasn't in Beyond Thunderdome?
Positive.
I remember Tina Turner.
She sang a song in there, even not in the movie, but Tina Turner had to sing a.
Oh, I might be confused.
We don't need another hero, I think was the name of the song.
Conan the Destroyer didn't exist. That movie never happened.
That was a shitty movie.
Oh, it was horrible.
It was a shitty movie, but way better than the Momoa one. But yeah, like Beyond Thunderdome was cool. Like respect their judicial system and stuff like that. At Bartertown, you got Thunderdome and shit. 2 men enter, 1 man leave.
Have you watched the last season of The Walking Dead?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that like the junk people, had a little bit of a like, or a little reminiscent of that, and they even like, I thought one of the weirdest and most interesting things that they did with that was the weird speech that they took on.
I was trying to figure out what the fuck that was all about. Like, why do they all talk like swamp people?
And they didn't explain it at all, and I loved that. I was like, fuck yeah. No need to explain your weird talking. You're a weird talker.
No, sometimes little mysteries are nice,
But I mean, the thing is I get it, like that it happens. Shit. So, Meta and Katie and her friend Katie were driving up to Udon's last week, which is a great little Thai restaurant up in
Hackensack.
I know. And they were going to bring me back food, and Meta asked me what kind I wanted or how hot I wanted it. I didn't care what I got, but I said, yeah, just whatever the max is. And so it's fucking hot, and I ate it. I actually ate it Saturday night, and my guts were really bugging me during the podcast, and I was shitting all fucking day, like after that. But that was not what I was going to say. I was going to say that on the ride up there, Katie and Christine are talking, and Katie's a big fan of the show as well. And I don't know what their exchange was, but Katie like gives Meta a look, and Meta's like, "Oh shit, did I just sound like Matt?" And Katie's like, "You totally did." And I just think that's funny because when you hang around somebody a lot, you end up like kind of taking on some of their idiosyncrasies and stuff.
Absolutely.
And so maybe that's just what it is, that there was somebody who had a weird way of talking, and then everybody kind of took it on. But I also wanted to tell a little story about Katie. Last night I was at working at 9th Street, and Katie came in with another friend of hers, and we got onto the subject of DMT. But I was pretty busy, and I couldn't really get into the story. And I'm like telling Katie's friend, I'm like, I like at some other time I'd love to tell you the story. It's pretty interesting. And Katie goes, "Oh, don't worry, I'll just show her episode 1."
Nice.
Like, fuck yeah. Like, very cool. Forgot I even talked about DMT in episode 1. And then she said also that, like, the pop brownie story made her piss her pants. Or, I don't know if she said piss her pants, but it was one of the
She may be incontinent anyway.
Yeah, she probably. But, yeah. I was just saying, like, it's so flattering when, like, Ron, obviously, doesn't just say, hey, great episode, I really enjoyed the episode, which I appreciate when people say that too.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
when he starts pulling fucking funny quotes from the episode, you just know he watched it. And the same thing, with Katie just remembering like, hey, oh, he doesn't need to tell you about DMT. It's in episode 1 and I'll just play that for you or whatever. So at some point we should probably revisit some of those stories because not everybody's watched every episode, but yeah.
Well, and then we kind of tail off and like leave some shit like half finished and stuff, like I don't know, maybe we need to like set a date, or like our 20th episode we clean house a little bit or something, like follow up on some shit,
Hey, that would actually be a good idea.
Maybe.
But
Probably
we
boring
could
for these guys. Fun for us.
Yeah, we honestly just don't give a shit.
Give a fuck, yeah. But yeah, the Road Warrior. Check that shit out. Let me know what you think. For the 0.5 of you that actually will. Actually, if you, I want to hear from you guys on this. I want to know what your favorite one was. If you've seen like all of them, if you've seen one of them, I want to know what you think. Facebook, whatever the shit, email us, doesn't matter. I'm curious about that because I fucking I've been on a kick lately. Love that shit. I know a lot of people don't like to watch older stuff. In some ways I don't like to watch older stuff, but some of it's just fucking worth it. And if you've not seen The Road Warrior, then fucking whatever, watch Cake Wars anyway, it's good. It's great. And Godless. I totally skipped over Godless. I meant to talk about that a little bit. So watch The Road Warrior. Let me know what you think. You can watch it on fucking Amazon. You can rent it for fucking $4.
Okay, put a pin in Godless because I do want to talk about that quick. But I feel like we work for Amazon, but we don't. But they could give us money if they wanted to. But
they're not paying taxes.
So I'm gonna make a confession. For much of my life, I was a pirate. And I always felt like I could just go get anything I wanted at any time, and I certainly can. And I never felt any badness about it, none. But I realized that it's not a matter of me wanting to steal. It's me wanting to be able to get whatever the fuck I want when I want it. And I haven't pirated anything since Amazon Prime made it available to just bam, you can get the movie that you want to get, right now for $3, for whatever it is, 48 hours. It's so convenient that for me, the $3, it's not worth going through the hassle of or taking the risk, even though it probably is a risk, but I'm like, what can they take from me, which I will not willingly give, except for perhaps my life. Yes, my life. It's a little Shakespeare right there. Another Mel Gibson. Yeah.
From Hamlet?
Little Hamlet.
Yeah. I just had a guy, I had a guy that was on his way out of the bar. He fucking quoted Shakespeare on his way out. It was a line from The Tempest. And I'm like, was that the fucking Tempest? And he's like, are you a fucking bouncer that knows Shakespeare? I'm like, maybe I fucking am. But it was just nice. It was a weird little interaction. And I'm like, man, strange. You don't hear people leaving the bar, and then he was, but then he thought it was strange because he's like, well, you don't hear bouncers picking up on shit like that either. So
that is pretty fucking awesome. Don't you quote The Tempest at me, motherfucker. Okay, so get back to Godless.
Last thing I'm going to say about The Road Warrior. Whatever, maybe you're busy watching The Bachelor or something. Watch the fucking Road Warrior. The Bachelor is not going to teach you how to survive and even thrive in the fucking wasteland. All right. Remember, just walk away. God, I love that fucking character. Godless. No, Godless is new, shiny new. Okay, a couple years old, whatever. But it's on Netflix and it's fucking great. And don't let the title fuck with you. If that's your thing, they don't. It's not super it's not sacrilegious or anything like that. It's nothing. It's not. It doesn't. They don't dwell on religion and stuff like that. But it's a great fucking story. And you don't necessarily have to be a Western fan to enjoy this. But if you are a Western fan and you haven't seen it, you are fucking up. It's great. Jeff Daniels plays the bad guy in there.
Okay, and I did watch an episode of it. Yeah.
And he plays a fucking scary
yeah.
and spectacular bad guy.
I don't know why I quit. I just must have gotten sidetracked.
Yeah. He's basically like raised like the protagonist Roy. Roy's been with him for years, but Roy fucking betrays him and runs off. And he is hunting Roy down, and he will fucking kill, probably in a gruesome way, anyone that like aids Roy at all. Jeff Daniels' character's name's Frank. Roy Good is the guy that betrayed him, or he feels betrayed him. And at one point, and this isn't a spoiler because it's right away in the fucking first episode. Frank has a very scary gang, one of whom is a former UFC heavyweight, Jardine.
Oh,
Keith Jardine, yeah.
Jeez.
And he's awesome in there, actually. So he wipes out this fucking town. Like, that's basically how the show starts. Like, his gang fucking wipes out a town. And the best line in the movie, I think, is Frank's, Jeff Daniels. And it's, the good people at Creed let him walk their streets. Now they don't have any streets or people. And I'm like, that's a fucking great line. And of course, like he said it, like he was fucking, you're like, holy shit, he's pretty scary, you know? But it's a fucking great, the characters.
Jeff Daniels, he was in The Newsroom.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, The Newsroom, and Godless.
The Newsroom
I
is
think
one of the greatest shows
is
ever.
one of the greatest shows ever. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I put it up there with fucking MASH. And I love me some MASH.
That they are going to do another season.
They kind of have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
so if you haven't seen The Newsroom, it is fantastic. It's about a news anchor who basically kind of has like a mental break and decides he's just going to tell the truth. But that seems really campy, like, but it's not campy at all. Like they
really fuck. Is it written? I mean,
well, it's Aaron Sorkin. Is that his name?
Is it the same guy from The West Wing or whatever?
Yeah, yep. I think so. But,
because people told me to watch that too, which I have not.
I couldn't do it. I tried, but it like, all right.
But like the Newsroom, what people have, I feel like everyone has seen this clip. There's a clip, Jeff Daniels on a panel speaking at a college with a bunch of other people and stuff. Yeah. And so if you've seen that rant that he goes on about what makes America the greatest country in the world, and he fucking tears into her and says some shit that you like shock the shit out of people and stuff.
He's like, well, it's not. And then everybody kind of laughs. And he's like, well, what do you mean? It's not. And he just starts like, we're 25th in this, we're this in healthcare, we're there, and he just like runs down all the things that make America, or that maybe are not yet. It was fantastic. That's what hooked me. That clip hooked me. My friend Abby sent me that clip and was like, I really think you'd like this. And I was like, fuck, I gotta check this out. I watched it and I think it's great. But what makes that show so great is that they report it's
on events that were current
at the time, but not because it's set in the past, but only briefly in the past. So like, they were like reporting on when Obama like got elected and like other things, and it's really good. And some people have called it like fucking left wing propaganda. And I can see where they're coming from, but the character, the Jeff Daniels,
yeah,
he's a Republican,
but one of the ones that a rhino Republican in name only, which means he's reasonable,
right?
Because that's not a fucking thing anymore.
And they talk about the Tea Party and like how the Tea Party was like,
changed the fucking scene, changed the dynamic.
And basically,
if
you didn't hijack conservatism. If you were a reasonable Republican running in a district that was willing to like talk with the other side of the aisle, then they would launch a person against you in the primary and essentially edge you out. And it's pretty sad state of politics today. But that's like, but that shit really
But
happened.
they talk about that stuff a lot, and it's a really funny show.
It is.
And it's a really like powerful and moving show in a lot of ways. There's a lot of, the drama is fucking like.
The fucking last episode. Jesus Christ.
I cried a couple times during that show, during that series. And, but then again, I also like, so Olivia Munn is on that show. Olivia Munn is nerd royalty. She was on Attack of the Show and stuff. She plays the super brilliant economics reporter. Yeah,
dude, she is beautiful.
And like she's so fucking like the writing is so good. Like so she's gorgeous and she's fucking like so smart.
Nerdy.
Her lines and stuff. She's so fucking brilliant, you know. And besides Olivia Munn being so fucking gorgeous, you know, I'm just like, I'm like, man, I know, like, oh, sometimes it's moving, and you know, and sometimes it's hilarious, and sometimes I'm hard as Chinese math. I love him and Olivia Munn.
I love it. One of my favorite scenes is with her is when they are in they're in the middle of a broadcast and they're talking about like the Fukushima plant melting down, and she's getting pissed off because she's the interpreter, and she's getting pissed off because she doesn't think that the other interpreter is like interpreting her words correctly. So she just says, "No, that's not what I said." And then she just jumps into Japanese and talks directly to the Japanese like engineer. And it's just this great scene because it's back and forth. And then afterward, the producer is in the back room with her and really reaming her a new asshole, saying like, "What the fuck were you thinking?" You know, and she goes, "Well, that bitch wasn't, doing my, translating my questions that way." And he goes, "What about 8 minutes of two people speaking Japanese on American television makes you think that's a good idea?"
Oh shit!
I just thought it was great.
You know what? I'm gonna rewatch that fucking show. I mean, it's like winter is coming.
I have watched it twice, so all the way through. I watched it twice, and it's one of my favorites.
Man, I'm watching it again.
I also
After the Road Warrior,
be obsessed with her and her character, but I also get a kick out of any characters or even like people in general, like especially very beautiful women who like either play a role or in real life like are like can't seem to like get laid. And it's like I just think that's so funny.
Well, in real life she dated Aaron Rodgers, so maybe she should have, I don't know. She probably that might have been. What the fuck was that noise that I just made? I wanted to say something hateful about the Packers, but I'm just, I don't even play that game, so fuck it.
Oh,
I just.
That's okay, because I was like, who's Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. He's a whiny bitch, but one of the greatest quarterbacks of the fucking modern era. But yeah, so Olivia Munn, it was funny in there, like her dating issues and stuff like that and all that, and I'm like, damn, But I mean, like this. We all know, like a lot of smart women like intimidate dudes and stuff like that.
That's very true.
I used to be super intimidated by smart women until I just became okay with the fact that I'm a man of average intelligence and a lot of people are smarter than me, and life got a lot easier after that.
So I never felt that way. Like I have a hard time with stupid people. It makes me sound such like an asshole, but I really like. Oh, am I going to tell this story? Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll tell the story. So I was dating this girl one time, and I'm not going to say what her name was. But at the time, I had a little dog, and he was a miniature pinscher. And his name was Achilles ankle biter. And I was introducing her to my dog, and I was like, "Oh, this is my dog Achilles. He's his full name's Achilles ankle biter." And she's like, "That's a really dumb name." And I was like, "Oh, well, it's kind of a joke, Achilles ankle biter. He's an ankle biter because he's a little dog." "Yeah, I don't get it." And I was like, "Achilles? Okay, so the back of your foot you have an Achilles ankle. There's an Achilles ankle, from the god Achilles who got shot in the ankle." And she's like,
"Mother dipped him in the
she's just totally blank. And I'm like, like Troy. And she goes, "Oh, that Brad Pitt movie?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
the Brad Pitt movie.
Yep, that's it." So we didn't work out. But yeah, so I just have always had like a hard time with, and I don't think that you gotta have a fucking PhD, but you gotta be smart enough to roll with the punches.
You know, yeah, you have to fucking bring something to the table besides, well, I mean, yeah, we won't talk about that. But
I do think that dudes do get whacked out. I mean, our friend Ange,
I used to be so intimidated. Yeah.
Okay, so Kyle and I have this beautiful friend, Ange.
Yeah. So super smart, brilliant. You know,
like probably has like 85 PhDs. I mean, we don't even know.
Right.
I don't even. She
like
explained.
Beautiful, just super sexy.
She explained to me what she did, and I don't know. I know it's at the University of Minnesota, and I know it's really.
We know she's a scientist. We know she wears a lab coat.
Yep, she wears a lab coat. That's just super cute. But she
short
so
skirt
she
and
she was
jacket.
that character. Exactly, because she went years and years without being able to get a
hard to date when you're a
boyfriend.
smart woman.
She was so smart, and I mean, she also wanted somebody who wasn't a dipshit. I mean, like there was like I don't know. Any one of us boys, she was friends with all of the boys. You know, me and you and Tharg and blah 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 blah. I mean, we're all like half in love with her, but like also we're like, yeah, but we're not good enough for her.
Yeah.
You know,
out of my league.
out of my league. Yep. And she was always very sweet to us. Anyway, so word up, Ange. I know you're doing
That
great
didn't keep
now.
me from hitting on her.
I know you probably. Well, me either.
You know,
But
you gotta throw your fucking hat in the ring. I mean,
right.
you never know unless you try.
I know you're doing very, very well now. So good to see. You seem very happy. I don't remember your husband's name because we don't give a fuck.
Hate him. No, not really.
I'm sure he's fine. Ish. What else do you have on your list?
Man, I don't know if I have anything else on my list.
Okay, good, because we're getting close to having Mr. Peterson here.
Wait, I found more.
Oh, good.
No,
One more.
I'm kidding. No? Mostly. Yep. No, we're good.
Okay. So in just a minute here, Drew Peterson is coming on, and fucking can't tell you how excited I am about having Drew on. When we sat down our first time, I was making a list of people, and he was like a number one top on our list. He is a amazing singer-songwriter. He used to play with the band 40 Watt Bulb, and then he's gone on. He currently he works with a band called the Dead Pigeons, but he also does a lot of like solo stuff. But he's just an amazing songwriter, and he's probably written thousands of songs. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, and he's going to play some songs for you. But he's fantastic. I went and saw him last night at the Roundhouse Brewery, just to connect with him, make sure he was good for the show. Plus, like, I mean, I could just sit and listen to him play forever.
If you have an opportunity to see him play, I recommend it.
Well, you'll get to in just a few minutes.
I recommend you stick around.
You should definitely go and try to see him live, but he's super fun. And he's got just the craziest fucking stories. So I'm really excited to talk to him about that.
This will be a treat for me, because I've been a fan for like a decade, but I don't know him personally.
Honestly, so I think Drew and BJ, the guy who was in 40 Watt Bulb with him, they're so Angie Stevens like started me down the music road. But I believe it was probably Drew and BJ that really got me to fall in love with musicians, because those two fucking guys would come up, they would play, then they'd come stay at my house, and I would we'd sit up all night and drink, and like they'd play music, and we would talk, and they would tell stories, and I was just like, for a long time, when people would say, what kind of music are you into? I would say, I'm into music where the musician will come to my house.
Is he a bard?
Yeah, he totally is a bard. That's a really great,
role-playing nerd reference.
Yeah, because like a bard is somebody who like travels around and like collects the stories of life, and he's definitely that. One of my favorite nights of all time was when him and BJ came up. They played a show at the Eclectic back in the day, and so that was 40 Watt Bulb. Then they came out to the house and we're up ring, and I asked them what the name of their band, what 40 Watt Bulb meant, and I was like, I mean, I know what a 40 Watt Bulb is, but are you saying you're not that bright? Is that what you're saying? I really didn't get it. And he's like, oh, it's actually a line out of a Tom Waits song. And I was like, oh no shit. Yeah, I love Tom Waits. And I got like a fucking a cappella concert for the next like 2.5 hours of Tom Waits songs. And it was just, it was the best ever. The best ever. So that will be coming up in just a minute. You got anything else?
No, I'm good, man.
All right. Well, we're not going to go because we got some shit for that. So fuck you, man. All right. We love you, man. All right. Sounds good. We'll see you in a few minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Spitballing. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy
Kyle Amundsen.
And we have the man, the legend, Drew Peterson in the house.
What up?
How you doing, Drew?
Doing good, man.
Man, it was good to see you last night out at Roundhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that place.
That's a great venue. Yeah.
Great venue. But the sound there fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's not uncommon though.
I know, but it's really frustrating because they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
They're getting in good musicians and they're being consistent about it. But it's really frustrating to go try to watch somebody that you really like want to hear their music, and it's just like it's a warehouse that's so loud, and they got to do something about that, I think. We're going to be doing a fundraiser there for rubbers at some point, right?
Yeah.
Because Kyle's all about the rubbers.
Man,
Like galoshes?
I mean, I like the theory. I like the concept of condoms. I've never actually seen one, but I like that some people play it safe. I always had have a little more lust for life than that.
I don't know if we're the best representatives for the We Are Clinic. There's a organization called the We Are Clinic, and they're do reproductive health and whatever. And they asked us to do some celebrity bartending at the at Roundhouse Brewery to raise money for their organization. And we were like, yeah, totally, I'm in. And Kyle, when we were exchanging the emails, Kyle's like, yeah, this town needs more condoms and more Odin. I was like, yeah, that's like
these motherfuckers.
But I think we're gonna do a podcast there and then do the celebrity bartending. So that'll be kind of fun. But that's something, if we get a chance to talk to the committee that runs the place, because it's owned. I don't know exactly how it operates, but there's a big group of owners that kind of have all got together. That's the word we're going to use. And but that's something I really want to bring up.
King Gagala.
Got together.
Fuck a bunch of dudes.
King Kalagalaga. But they, because they're doing everything right, but that's a chunk that if they don't fix, it's gonna be tough to continue to get good musicians to.
Yeah,
to
I mean,
play
it looks great in there. Everything is like wonderful about that place.
If it looks good, you mess it up when you put sound stuff in it.
Well,
nobody wants curtains everywhere. That's what makes
they might not,
good.
but they're going to have to figure it out, because if they don't have if they don't do that, like it's not going to work.
Yeah. Well, there's some cheap ways too. That
right.
Little panels from the ceiling.
Yeah, little
Make
panels
them yourself with 2x4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've told places, but
and I don't think that they're exactly hurting for cash. Like they put a lot of money into that building and a lot of money into that brewery.
Though breweries, people don't seem to understand that. Of like, a lot of times people look at it's at bars in the same way. They look at it and like, oh, they're making a fortune. But when you think about the fact of like, how much does a beer sell for? $5.
Right.
You know how many beers you have to sell? And that's all they're doing. They're just selling beer.
You're talking to somebody who lost all of their money selling beer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually do know.
But then you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well,
Everybody thinks you're rolling in money.
I don't think that they're rolling in money though.
Yeah.
I just think that they had some money going in. They definitely did, because they put a bunch of money into it. Not to say that place is making a bunch of money, but if you put all that money into the building and all the money into the brewery, and you want to do live music, which I think is fucking great that they're doing live music, then you're gonna have to take and put just a little more money into supporting the sound.
I feel like they're pretty successful, like overall, though. I mean, like especially like compared to the other breweries in the area and stuff, just because of the number of things that they are getting right. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, perhaps that could put them over the top. Well,
it is probably one of the coolest places to have a brewery. I love it.
Just driving into the place is
looks
fucking
great.
awesome.
Yeah.
Do you know how many places like have hired me for like big bucks, and then they'll be like, you don't need a sound system. I'll show up, say they're paying me $1,000 to play a show, and I walk in and their sound system is like, I could buy it on Craigslist for $100. And you want to be like, dude, don't pay $1,000 for music. Put $1,000 in your fucking sound system. Like,
Right.
what's the point? Like,
Right.
yeah, if you sound like shit, it doesn't.
Right. Yeah, that was always something, all through the years, like I was always really concerned about was like trying to have the best sound and, making things sound good. And
You always had good sound systems.
yeah. Well, I worked really hard on it. Yeah. I mean, and even to this day, I still really don't know how to run a soundboard.
The truth is nobody does.
Well,
Nobody does.
yeah. So the last one that I got was this one that you would connect to your iPad. And that was the one I had the most fun with, because then you could walk around and you could like really, grab the thing and really tweak it away or whatever. And that was pretty cool. I got pretty good on that. But nobody knows how to run sound, huh?
Well, you know what I mean. Like, there's very few.
Yeah.
There's very few. I mean, I've played fucking thousands of places, and I could probably name. I shouldn't say shit like that, but I could probably name 12 where they have like really good sound guys.
Well, right. And having like an actual dedicated song. I mean, shit, that's expensive. You have somebody that's going to sit there and run sound. Actually, the guy we were talking to last night, the older dude who broke his hand.
Yeah.
Whose name is eluding me right now. Damn it. But he's in the band Old Fat and Gray or whatever. But he used to run sound for me at the Shine just for free on that little iPad.
Nice.
And he was really, I mean, he's been a musician for 107 years. So, but it was cute because he didn't really know how to run the iPad, but he knew how to run sound. So it would like, if the screen would shut off, he'd just bring it over to me and be like, fix it. And then I just swipe it, and then he'd like go back to work. And
That sounds like me in a studio.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I need an engineer just for that, just to be like, dude, just make it do this.
That's funny.
I need an 11-year-old.
Yeah. Well, we were just talking about how like the older we get, the older I get, like I used to think of myself as pretty tech savvy, and now I can't figure anything out. Like I can't even run my damn phone.
It's a cliche joke, but it's fucking true. I have a 16-year-old that, I mean, I'm totally like I'm mentally handicapped compared to him with anything like that.
Right.
I have a home studio.
Right.
And he has to come and help me with he has no experience with it. I've been in studios, for the last 20 fucking years, and he knows more about it than I do already, just intuitively.
Yeah. And it is kind of a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
How does that happen?
Is it technically even a cliche then, or is it just the fucking way shit is?
It's the truth.
My 5-year-old gets hold of my phone, and I can't use my phone. He does shit to it where he's 5.
He
how the fuck does he know
he
how to
put
do?
the parental block on
I
you.
can show you, man. He groups stuff and puts them in.
Oh.
So he has them all in his own little. Jesus.
In his own little categories.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome.
I don't even know how to do that.
I
He's
don't
5.
either. I Google it. Right. That is kind of an amazing thing too. I think part of the reason why I don't like know how to do anything is because I don't really have to, because like the Google will just tell me. I have an Oracle that will just tell me how to do whatever the fuck I want to do. So I don't have to store like the ability to do that.
I have a dedicated team of millennials that get me through stuff like that. So
Your bouncing crew?
no. Although those guys, I mean, everybody basically is fucking more tech savvy than me. Obviously,
Well, that's been that way your whole life. I remember one of my favorite stories about you was back in the day. So Kyle and I have known each other for a long time, but I was never really part of his geek group. He has like this geek group of friends, and it was like our buddy Tharg and Sam and
the guys that play Dungeons and Dragons with.
Yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons. Nice. And who was it? Was it Jesse? I think it was Jesse was working at a place, and he was saying, guys, and they're in this chat room. You gotta watch your comments because I'm at work and I don't want. Was it Jesse?
Oh, I don't even remember.
Was
it
Bueller?
Might have been Jesse.
I don't know.
Or Sam.
And all of the rest of these guys are really, really, like Sam's probably the smartest human I've ever met. And like he said, he makes programs to do his job and shit. It's just crazy. And but poor Kyle actually figures out how to like blow up the text in the in the screen and says like, "Stop looking over his shoulder, motherfuckers."
Shit.
Good shit.
Well, somebody probably helped me with that too.
So we always do this. We when we start and we have a guest on, we just bullshit with the guest, and then we like realize that nobody knows who the fuck you are. So for those of you who don't know, Drew has been a singer-songwriter for what, 20, 25 years?
Professionally, it's going on like 16 years.
16 years?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that's about when you started. Well, no, it wasn't quite that long ago that you started playing at the Eclectic. That's right, because the Eclectic had been doing music that long, but you were a little bit later in that. And your first band?
Band. Well, technically, my first real band was I did some stuff in college. I experimented in college.
Yeah. Did you have to put a flute in your pussy?
No, actually, the kid who ran the AV department at the college had the keys to the studio and stuff. And how I got into music was because of college. I went there for art, right?
Okay.
And everybody kept pushing me towards commercial, like, I want to do real art, and they were like, no, you have to do commercial art. Everything was steering that way, and I was like, fuck that. So literally, I started college. They were on trimesters. I only went one trimester. Didn't go to a single fucking class. Like literally, I went to one class for I forget what reason, and the teacher in the small class was like 20 kids. Walked in, she's like, "You're in the wrong room." I'm like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, "Look it up." It's like, "Holy shit, you have not been here all year." I'm like, "Yep." Like that was my college experience.
Do I got a passing grade then, or what?
No,
I showed up once.
I failed all of it. But literally, a girl taught me 2 chords, and 2 months later, I did my first live show.
Okay, so you like didn't even start playing until you were
I didn't
18, 19 years old?
Once they disheartened me with that, I've always just, it's all about creating for me. So she taught me 2 chords, and I just went nuts, wrote a bunch of songs. Me and that kid started a little group called the Paper Misfits. I don't know what the fuck that meant, but and we used to sneak into the studio at night. We had it timed with the security guard. They had a security guard. So we'd literally duck down, turn off the lights, watch the guy walk by, and be like, all right, turn back on, recorded a bunch of shitty music. Yeah, I played my first show 2 months after learning how to even play a chord in front of the whole fucking school, which is like, 2,000 people. Never been so scared in my life.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Literally, that's why I still sit down today, is I remember watching my legs like this while I was trying to play. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, I guess I never have seen you stand in a show.
No.
You're always sitting.
Yeah. I literally had to think about not, like, passing out. Like, that's how scared I was.
Weird.
Yeah.
So you never finished college?
No.
So that was a really good use of money.
Yep. Still paying for that.
Yep. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
God, it's just the weirdest thing. I work with a lot of kids, and you would think that, like, I work with at-risk youth, let's say, and like you would think having the college conversation, like people would want to be pushing them towards college, but I'm always like, dude, you really got to think this through, because if you go and rack up this debt, man, it doesn't ever go away. And like, you got to be really sure that you know what you want to do and that it's actually worth it to go to school to do it. And that's a tough one. There isn't very many things where that's the case. I mean, if you want to be a doctor, I fucking want my doctors to go to school, all right?
Even though I never wound up working in anthropology, all the things, like all the peripheral things from those years, I think made it all kind of worthwhile. And I still owe a shitload in student loans, but yeah, I like that shit. Like, I mean, it was just hard to, from like football and stuff like that, like can't like all of it. Like, if I had to just like give a definitive like yes or no answer, I'd say yes, worth it. But like my experience was probably, like everyone's experience is unique. I know a lot of people that are like, yeah, that was a total fucking waste, And
Well, I know like people kind of think of college as your like, what is it called? Like Romspringer?
Yeah.
Like, but, Roospringer. Yeah. Where the Amish kids go out for a year and fuck off.
Dude, that's fucking. If
gotcha.
you've ever seen I've watched the documentary. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's crazy.
yeah, I didn't know that term, but I have
soup up
seen
their buggies and
these kids are just fucking wilding out. You
they have
know,
trialed marriages. You know that one.
I don't know, but I know that basically they have this period of time and they can go do whatever they want, and then inside that period of time, and then if they decide to, they get to return, and if they decide not to, then they're out and shunned, which like totally makes sense to me. I think that's the way everything should go.
how are you gonna keep them down on the farm once they've seen Gay Perry?
If you want, like, people think like that's what college is. It's where you're gonna go sow your wild oats and shit like that. Yeah, okay, fine, but you don't have to go to fucking $50,000 in debt to do it. That's dumb. Like, just go fucking sow some oats and just be done with it.
So everybody wants to, like, that's obviously a hot button issue, talking about socialism and the,
Right.
twofold. One, right now, all major colleges, their endowments are so big that they cannot go broke. Do you know that one?
I didn't know, but I kind of have. Like, I think that
Harvard
I heard that's true.
The people at Harvard are the one that stepped up and said that, of like, Harvard now has so much fucking money that it's impossible for them to spend it. Everybody from here on out for all eternity could go to Harvard for free. That's true. It's true, and they would never go bankrupt. That's one. Oh, I lost my train of thought.
And their tuition is like free, right? Harvard's tuition's free.
It's close, I think.
Like,
yeah.
It's like you got to pay a token amount, like 50 cents or something.
Like the 4-year school or the 2-year Harvard?
Well, in the Scandinavian countries, I know this from a guy that came to college actually from Sweden, like a exchange kid. They actually have in Sweden, I don't know if it's every one of those, but in Sweden they have this time period that's what it's for, and the state pays for it. They literally
the fuck off time period.
It's in between. It's in between when you join the workforce and school, right? So whatever time period that is for you,
the government subsidized rum
they
shot.
They pay you to basically go see the world, sow your wild oats before you come and settle down.
The Vikings, they just did everything right.
Man.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy,
so
but if you think about it, like,
so it's called like the rape and pillage year.
yeah. Bring back beautiful women. Yes.
Right. Huh. So you never finished college and racked up a bunch of debt, but then you had that band, and then when did you really start like being a professional?
It's a weird story. I basically stepfather was dying of cancer. I was the only one that, I'm like the black sheep, the guy that never settled down, basically in my family. So I was the only one that could like move back in and help. So they had this cabin on a lake. There are these cabins on a lake. So I moved in and like mowed the lawn and cooked the food while my mom and him, had their long goodbye basically.
Yeah.
And at the time period, ever since, college, I just obsessively wrote songs.
Right.
And so I had nothing to do. And there was a bar up the hill from, literally, it was like not even a block away from the cabins. Like it was just on top of the hill. And I'd go up to that bar every night and just get shit-faced drunk, right? And made a lot of friends up there. And literally a couple of guys were coming in every week on like a Tuesday or something like that. And they were having band practice. And I finally got the gumption one night drunk to be like, I play guitar, you know what I mean? And like, all right, let's play together. And they're like, sure, buddy. I'm like, all right, bring your guitars next week, right? Like, we'll hang out and play. Come to my cabin. When I think about it now, it's absolutely nuts. But they showed up next week, and of course, they didn't have guitars. But they were placating me, like, yeah, we'll come listen to you play, kind of a thing. That was BJ and Joel, yeah.
Huh.
And I was drunk as hell, nervous as hell to play for him. Played a couple of songs, which would be the EP songs that we had. And I remember watching them look at each other and go, which was a good thing.
Right.
And they were basically practicing in a cover band. They were trying to get enough covers together to play bars. And they literally right there were like, all right, we're done with our band thing. We're going to just back you and let's do something with this. And that was the start of
40
Wild, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I lived from there, I started working at that bar. Lived there was this bartender farmhouse. And I can't even describe how shitty. Like literally, the walls on some of the corners were split, and you could see outside. The farmer just wanted to hold on to the place because it was like his grandparents or something, right? So he basically charged the price of what it cost to heat the place.
Okay.
You know, and that was included. But it was just trying to hold on to it and whatever else. There was literally mushrooms. I had pictures of it, mushrooms that big coming out of the floor in the kitchen. Like the place was ungodly. Like
It sounds
very
perfect.
condemnable. But we practiced there obsessively.
And you lived in it?
Yeah,
too?
that's where I lived with other bartenders.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course.
they called it the bartender house. Yeah. So
Is this in Minnesota? Or are you?
Yeah, it was Clearwater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just practiced like fucking crazy. We only started playing at Silver Creek, the bar I worked at, and it started off with just a couple friends, and in a short amount of time, like we couldn't fit people in the bar, and
Right. I know, like back in the day, like you were kind of famous for like that, like 40-watt shows, you know, where I don't know. I know there was a story about like, was it Miller High Life that sponsored you, or was like
yeah, we had that was our CD release at Mayslax. Yeah,
and like
High Life sponsored. High Life's like my beer. I just
Right.
always loved. I don't know how they caught wind or whatever else, but they decided to sponsor our show, and we sold them out.
Yeah, right.
That wasn't the first time that
selling
happened.
them out of beer, you know.
We did a street dance in Silver Creek once where I kept warning the bar of like, stock up. They got best pick in the city pages and all these other, and the town blew up. Like it was literally busting at the seams. They shut down the streets, you know, for the show. And by the end of it, they literally brought in, you know, the beer truck, you know, semi truck.
Right.
We sold out all the fucking beer, like all the beer
Right.
in all the bar. All the whiskey, all the rum,
Right.
all the vodka.
The bar's just like,
They were
we're
down to
done.
like brandy.
We're done. Yeah. We can do brandy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how that like Santiago shows started or whatever? Like
The Santiago show was like moving it. Yeah, because the last one I did at Silver Creek, they basically stiffed me. So I shouldn't even say that because they'll want to come sue me or something. But they paid their part. But the reality is I put up money, and the agreement afterwards was like pay me back what I put into it, and I put like $3,000 of my own money into it, and they were like, no, we're good. Like, you know. They didn't pay me back my money. So I basically was like, well, I'm not going to play here anymore then. And they're
Right.
like, okay. That was the end of the relationship with my hometown bar.
Hmm.
The original owner sold. So it was somebody
Right.
else from out of town. They just saw dollar signs.
So that was back. So when you were doing those, selling out the beer and all that shit, that was back in the day, like when 40 Watt had like the junk drum and the whole thing. Is that right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of the glory.
Yeah, well,
days,
that
kinda
show,
like
if you know anything about local music, it was, the bill was Charlie Parr, Pert Near Sandstone, White Iron Band, and 40 Watt Bone.
right. Yeah.
I mean, that's
a ticket right there.
That show would cost a fortune now. Not with 40 Watt, but with those other bands. Jesus.
Well, Jesus, if we could get 40 Watt back together, it'd be awesome.
We've done a few.
I know you did a reunion tour or a reunion show. I didn't go down to it.
I found out that actually we talked about it like the day before my wedding. Found out that my in-laws were big fans.
Right.
Oh yeah, that was super weird.
Yeah, you know, like because I used to come like I'd come see you guys like whenever you'd be at the cafe and stuff, you know. And fuck, super enjoyed it. Always like if you like a clever turn of phrase and some fucking wonderful like songwriting and shit, this is your guy. And the band was great and stuff, and I just enjoyed it so much. And then I don't even know how the hell it came up. I think it was
them.
I think
They
it was
recognized me.
Yeah.
So I married Kyle and Christine. I officiated their wedding, and we went out and did a little rehearsal, and then we went back to Christine's parents. Right? Is that right? That there?
Yeah.
And just sitting there, and they're like, I know you. She's like, I know you. I was like, oh, I'm Matt Taylor. I'm super famous. Same line I say to everybody.
Of course
She
you
goes, You had the Eclectic Cafe. And I was like, yeah, I did. I didn't really recognize her. She goes, yeah, we used to come and see this band that played there. We just loved them, 40 Watt Bob. And I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. That's like one of Kyle's favorite musicians. And like they had no idea that Kyle
Weird.
He has like a hard on for a couple of your songs. He talks about nonstop. So
you know.
and that's why our first episode, I messaged you before, but our first episode, like we decided that we wanted to try to put a song from a local or from a musician, honestly, just a musician that I knew is pretty much what it was. And so we had Laramie as our first intro extra song. And yeah, which is a great song.
Great fucking song.
So you want to play that one?
Yeah, I can play that one.
Yeah, let's break it out. So we'll just kind of break up this, with songs now and again. I mean, if you're fortunate enough to get a musician to come to your place, you may as well take advantage of that and go play, monkey, play. So this is an old 40 Watt Bulb song.
Yeah.
And and Drew does an awesome job. I love that you have finally gotten comfortable playing by yourself, because that was, for years, it was hard to convince you to like do a solo gig.
Yeah.
And you were always like, well, I need somebody else.
I like to hide, man. The funny thing is I like creating. I don't like the rest of it.
Yeah.
I've gotten to love it. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I just like to hide. I don't like the attention. I don't like it's uncomfortable. So
yeah. But I'm glad. Oh, there's a train going by. We'll wait for the thing to get over. But yeah, I'm glad that you finally are coming out of your shell and able to do solo shows, because like it's just intimate and personal. And
well, the resonators actually made a huge difference. They're a lot more interesting.
Yeah,
the picking is a lot more interesting.
Yeah,
dude, it's fucking brutal. Like walk in with just a dreadnought, like just a regular guitar.
Yeah.
And just being like, walk into a bar by yourself and being like, I'm gonna play you a couple tunes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a lot harder than people think.
And also,
here's a true story. This literally happened to me in a bar. It was I shouldn't say the name of it. I won't say the name of it. It's a local bar in Rice, Minnesota. Little hint at what it was. It was a Sunday. It was Vikings opener. Right after the opener, and they lost. Right. Everybody was drunk. Everybody's pissed. It was one of those openers where you're like, this season's going to be shit. You know what I mean? Like, so everybody was extra pissed. And then it was literally like, and here's a guy with an acoustic guitar, right? You know what I mean? Just the worst, fucking packed, It was paying good and whatever else. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to muscle through this, right? It was like 3-hour show or something stupid. And then they started yelling for country tunes.
just for 3 hours.
Play some country. And I know like 2 country covers. So I played them, and they started yelling again. Play more country. I'm like, that's all I know. Play them again. Okay. I played them again. You know what I mean? I'm like, and then by the end of it, like after doing that, I'm like, well, tell you what, here's an original that sounds like a country song. No, you son of a bitch. Like super pissed off. Literally, I took a break.
It sounds like the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too, yeah.
Literally, I took a break, and this is a true story, I swear to God. The owner of the bar literally came running up to me with half my pay and says, you need to get out of here. They want to kill you. I'm not kidding.
And you're like,
that's
half
great
my
for your
pay,
ego.
bitch?
Yeah. Well, I played half the show, so
Fuck
I got paid
that.
something. No, I got paid something. To be honest, that was like a mercy killing. I wasn't, it was like, imagine that break where you're sitting, it's like waiting for your execution. You know what I mean? A room full of drunk people who just pissed off. No. Worst gig of my life.
Oh, I'm telling you should have paid you the entire money.
Yeah.
You were fine with the show money. Yeah.
I was fine just being let off the hook. That's all. This song's actually about
an execution.
Watching. You know me. I'm a documentary freak. I watch just shit tons of documentary, and it was one about the Wild West. They were talking about towns that had trouble with. I know you know the story.
I do. I love it though.
It's for them.
Right.
There's these towns that it's a true story where they had trouble with crime. So the towns that had trouble was the ones that didn't have trees. The only place they could hang people was in the rafters of the church, because they're the only buildings big enough to do something like that. And obviously they didn't want to do that. So these towns had like serious crime problems because the criminals were all like, fuck it, let's go to Laramie. You know what I mean? Like we could get away with shit there. And the idea just spun from that. So, guy with the tree phobia. Darling dear, what a fear happened to the engineer. Must have scared him what he saw. Whistle blow, should be time to go. Where he is, no one would know. The train stands still east of Omaha. Just question the brakeman. Why the train stopped a mile short of the station? He said, my friend, the half-ass grin. If this ain't the end, where are we then? To begin, stories old, but truth be told, sometimes you buy the same you sold. Man, he asked for it by the name of Lee. Wonder why I wanna hang him high, just like his dad dangle him in the sky. Stretch his neck out for everyone to see. That's why I lived in Cheyenne, said you couldn't see a single tree as far as Laramie. Sit without a tree, exactly where he wants to be. If it was me, don't think I'd have to worry about no tree killing me. Darling dear, what a fear happened to the engineer. Must have scared him what he saw. Johnny Law, he's chewing chaw, riding hard up from Omaha. Well, 12 men turned into deputies. So please believe me when I say that man was in with me. Ain't my babe, by my left leg. I'll be right back, it's exactly where he said he'd be. He said, please, watch my stuff for me. The devil in me can't be free, can't you see there ain't no tree gonna be killing me. The devil in me can't be free, can't you see there ain't no tree gonna be killing me. The devil in me can't be free, can't you see there ain't no tree gonna be killing me.
Very nice.
I fucking love that song.
We were talking before when we had Seth on, but it's so nice to like do it this way with the headphones and listen and see. It's like I want to just have concerts like this where we just sit with and yeah, right. Exactly. One of the phrases in that song I just love so much is, or not even phrases. It might even be a technique that's used, but where you like turn sentences around, kind of, you know, like when you say, "It ain't my bag by my left leg, be right back's exactly where he says that he'll be," right? Is that the line? But that it's like you could say, you know, like that's not my bag, it's that guy's bag. You know what I mean? Like the way you turn it around. You know?
This way, it sounds more like he's talking to the cops. You know, it might not come out in the perfect order. You know, like it sounds more like he's actually saying it. Like, yeah.
Truth be told, you know, I've had actually with that song, I've had a lot of people come up to me with like these theories because it's really open. Mm-hmm. It's a great example. If you hear writers talk about it, where like it's better not to give answers to.
Right.
That's a great like.
Right.
Really, that song is the end of it's kind of nonsensical. It doesn't. Like, there's not a real clear storyline, but everybody else builds them into something, and I'm always like,
oh, I'm totally sure what happened.
Leaving something to the imagination. Yeah. We actually touched on that when we were talking before you got here
about movies.
Yeah, you know, like there's some things are, you know, like just to use another nerd reference, Wolverine's background story. You know, like it was better before they gave him the shitty background story because there was some mystery involved and people speculated and stuff. That's fun. That's part of it. You know, like
the crowd's smarter, than they're ever given credit. They figure out better things than you could ever figure out. The genius of Bob Dylan. The genius of Bob Dylan is that like he just talked nonsensical shit and people were like, this is what that means. The white ladder and the dove will fly into the, like the white ladder represents,
Yeah, I never got Bob Dylan. But I do think that you're right that like over-explaining shit, like dumbing it down for the audience, just stop it. Like we're smart enough to figure it out.
It does work too, but that's a whole different kind of music.
yeah.
That's the other thing where that's for me as a musician, that's one of the things that annoys me is on both sides of it, where people, some music lovers will like really talk down to certain styles of music. You know what I mean? Of like, oh, well, that's just stupid. Like, well, it's just different. If you love music, you love music. So like, I don't even know what to use as an example,
But not love all music.
Well, no, I mean, you like what appeals to you.
Right.
But
like that always drives me
It's
nuts.
like movies to me. In movies, it's like everything doesn't have to be an Oscar winner. You know,
Right.
like I always use the example of Roadhouse, the movie Roadhouse.
Yeah.
That's a fucking great
Fucking movie.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what's not to love? Monster trucks.
The bouncer training film.
Yeah.
Right.
It's got Sam Elliott in it.
Yeah.
It's a badass film.
Sam Elliott's
I can
fucking
like
awesome.
that film, and I can also like,
Monster trucks, boobs, fighting, fucking
I know,
music. What was that? Healy? Was that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Healy.
Oh yeah, the guy who played the slide guitar.
died. I
The
didn't
blind
even
guy.
know that.
Yeah, I know. I heard that a while ago.
Yeah.
It is very difficult to rip somebody's throat out of their neck. I'm just saying. I've tried. Like way harder technique
I bet
than one
girlfriends
would
try.
think.
It is hard. Yeah.
And that fucking that great line. I used to fuck guys like you in prison. Damn, really? That was aggressive.
Sam Elliott's the best part of that whole movie.
Sam Elliott,
He's
the best part of a lot of movies.
has he
Seriously, that made his career.
has
in my
he
opinion.
aged in 40 years?
Well, now
Like,
he's old as fuck. Yeah.
He does look pretty old now, but it literally felt
Right.
like a
He-
month ago. He just all of a sudden was like, "Oh, holy
Yeah.
shit! What happened to you?"
Yeah, he's no Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Stewart might be 300 years old.
Right, he actually doesn't age.
But from Leon DeGrant's in fucking Excalibur to fucking
Well,
in the
it's gonna be in
90s.
Picard.
Picard.
So, but you were saying like there's a different side to like writing music.
Yeah, like there's different even reasons for music. Like as an example, in our community right now, it's like all the jam bands. Well, if you remember back in the day with 40 Watt, we kept getting lumped in with jam bands.
Yeah, I know that.
And to this day, I still don't understand that. Of like, I've got nothing against the jam bands and stuff, but we just had clear cut solos. You know what I mean? No song was over. I think our longest song was like 7 minutes.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're like,
Right.
we're not doing 20-minute. We didn't cover any Grateful Dead. You know what I mean? And the same side of it, like they're just doing something different. And now all those people have picked up mandolins. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now it's all like bluegrass. But it's just a jam band.
Right.
And it's great. It's
Right.
awesome. I have no problem with it.
But yeah, I
it's
don't ever see it.
like
Never would have
people who
seen
love
40 Watt
that
Ball as that. Right.
they don't necessarily love, John Prine. You know what I mean? Because it's totally two
Right.
different things. But
Right.
It doesn't,
Like,
you
Yeah,
can like
I guess
it
I
for
do
what it
kind of hear
is.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like do you know Useful Jenkins and those guys?
I've played with them, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
they're great,
guys.
but they're definitely a jam band. I mean, they're definitely a festy jam band. They're super talented, really fun. I love their little tiny, what's this thing?
Cello?
Yeah, cello. Yeah, they're little. She's like 4'2",
Yeah.
and just awesome. But yeah, I can definitely see that, like that they're totally jam
Well,
band.
but fans can get really weird. That's the whole thing. Fans can
But
be like,
yeah, their
"Oh,
fans may
I
not
hate this or hate that," and
like.
yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna generalize all of their fans, but I don't see their fans being like John Prine fans as well. So it's like, yeah, I get that. So, like, I always talk about you as such a prolific songwriter, but that's not a fucking joke. Like, how many songs have you written?
To be honest, well, the weirdest thing is in the last, since I started having kids again, I really haven't written shit.
Well, you
it's
have
kinda sad, but
you have
I just-
you have like 3,000 to choose from.
Yeah, well, that's the hard part. Is like I've got such a back catalog that I've never recorded. I've had, I'm like the king of debacle bands, basically. Like both bands did really well. Dead Pigeons is the follow-up band, but it's the weird thing with bands that people don't understand is even the great bands, most of them have a shelf life of like 3 years.
Right. Right.
And so trying to keep a band together is one thing. Trying to run the
Very
business
difficult.
is a whole nother thing. And then trying to, execute your vision for things is a whole nother. So, I mean, I've been writing songs I started out when I realized that's what I wanted to do. This is before I ever thought I'd ever perform out or do anything with it. You know what I mean? Like it was just the love of it. I put myself on a regimen of writing a song a day for a year.
Right.
And once I did that, I had 365 horrible songs. And then, but I learned the craft and I never stopped. I've had days where I've sat down and wrote 3 or 4 songs that made an album in a day, so it's what I do.
So,
I like writing.
Some of the songs that you do that I just like really love are some of the ones that you do kind of on a whim. One of my favorites is Scooter, and I know you can't play it. You don't play. But it's like, what was your goal to just see how many words you could put into one song?
Well, that one was actually, I was getting courted by this publishing company. A publishing company is people that sell music. So the industry's gone nuts. But back when this happened, there was still more business going on. And they basically were like, they wanted me to be a staff writer. There's companies that actually used to, I don't know if they still do, but used to do this where they'd hire people just to stick them in a room and get them to write songs. And then they would take those songs and pair them with people. That's one of the dirty secrets of the industry is like Taylor Swift writes her new album. All they legally have to do is stick her in the room while those guys like me who've been doing this for ever, dedicating our lives. And she can go like, my boyfriend's a jerk. All right. Then we'll write a song about, you know what I mean? And then she gets, she gets credit on it. So on the reverse side of it, if you're in one of those good circles and you're having a bad day, it doesn't matter. You're still getting paid because they literally take it as in like they understand. It's almost like they understand the muse part of it where like having the right people in the room, even if they're not contributing direct lines, it still brings in creative forces. So you still can get credits.
I mean, it's kind of like being a staff writer for the Daily Show. You don't get like credit for your joke.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But the deceptive part of it is I didn't know that like they don't, and like I know, like Alanis Morissette, like when she came and she wrote Jagged Little Pill, she did that with a producer, and like really, I'm not saying that she didn't write it, but like her and that producer wrote it, and he's a very talented songwriter.
Yeah.
So I'm just imagining that maybe all of those words weren't hers.
Well, look at Dan Wilson, if you know Dan Wilson. Like he's just a great example of like anybody that he's come in and helped. They all have hit songs after that.
Like Adele and like that.
Because the motherfucker can write songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. So, but I didn't realize that was like, that like literally it would be like, oh, she writes all of her own songs or he writes all of his own songs, and it's literally just walks into a room.
Oh, if people want to know what's wrong with music these days, it literally is Taylor Swift. I'm not joking. Like it's I have nothing against her. But it's the fact of like, there's guys who've dedicated their lives to writing music that get no credit for it and don't get the money for it, right?
Right.
And if you know the backstory of her dad's like a billionaire banker. This is a true story. Couldn't get her signed for anything. It's her like passion, right? So he bought the fucking label.
Oh.
Yeah, he bought like a major label and then pays for everything. So it's her hobby. There's no way for her to sell enough albums to get to the place where it's profitable. But she's like the biggest star in the fucking world.
That's fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Damn.
That's what music's turned into. It's
but the thing is, and
sounds
I
like
hear
a Rush song.
I hear what you're saying.
But integrity and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Well, the worst part of that is then that lady goes on to a talk show and tells little girls to follow their dreams. If they work hard enough, they'll get there.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
She didn't have to work for a damn thing.
Right.
Paying your dues. Okay.
I
Dad, pay the bills.
honestly don't even know who she is. I mean, like, I don't know any
I
of
don't
her
know her
songs.
either.
But I don't even know her music. I don't even, like, 'cause
I don't either.
I'm
I don't-
so outside of that.
You've heard of her.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. It's not like I've ever like sat down.
I know
and
I
like,
was trying to.
This is the new Taylor Swift
I know
song.
I was trying to
I'm
buy.
excited. Gonna give it a listen.
Yeah.
It was quite a while ago, but I was trying to buy Peyton like a backpack or something for school, and I was trying to buy him a Taylor Swift backpack, and he was just freaking the fuck out, like, no, jeez, no, and I was like, yeah, this one's really cute. It'll look good. Just try it on. He's like, no, get away from me.
Well, on the same side, when people come to me and be like, you probably hate Taylor Swift's music, right? The reality is I don't listen to it. I don't know it. But on the same side of it, no. I'll bet you I would like it. And why? Because there's guys like me who spent their lives writing songs that write those fucking songs.
Right. So they're probably really well
unbelievably good
written,
songs.
well crafted
Can she
songs.
hold a tune? Great. That's
Yeah.
a great fucking song.
Right.
Yeah, the whole songwriter thing, like, like Chris Stapleton and stuff. With this tremendous body of work and stuff, but like kind of made his whole, like, basically, like his whole career up until a few years ago, was writing shit for other people, and and working, in one of those mills,
Right.
But now, well, and like a lot of his, like some of my favorite Chris Stapleton songs don't even show up on an album or something, and I'm like, man, like, but you see like the videos out there and shit, and I'm like, how many people have tried to buy that? I wonder, like, it's kind of interesting.
When you follow the publishing of music, that's where it actually gets really interesting. That's where you start understanding a lot bigger and a lot deeper stuff of the music world. The publishing is fascinating.
Well, the music that I really am attracted to and that I really like is like shit that's like super personal, and like you just know that they, like, one of my favorite like national performers or whatever is Bright Eyes, or it's Connor Oberst. I think he's kind of ditched the brightest. And I just went and saw him. Okay, first of all, he's got 5,000 songs, so he probably wrote them, and like they're like, some of them are so fucking sad. But he's like, and last night I was in my kitchen and then I cut my finger. I mean, he's talking about like exactly what's going on. It's like nobody wrote this thing, But he's an amazing songwriter, and it's really, but it's just personal,
Well, I find like the National, they're pretty big now. A lot of depressing stuff, man. A lot of depressing subject matter and kind of a depressing style, really.
Well, the truth is like we've talked about it before, but like, it's kind of a cliche that like artists have to suffer to like,
the tortured artist thing?
to like create well.
No, I don't.
You don't think?
But you've written a lot of fun. Like some of my favorite songs of yours are really fun songs, like "Steal Your Girl" and "Uncle" and shit like
go back
that.
though,
But really
like,
fun stuff.
But even those kind of have some dark to it.
Okay, so yeah, you said no. So
The hardest ones to write are the happy ones.
right.
By far the hardest.
I was saying, so what I said was that like it's kind of a cliche that like the artist has to be tortured to create good music, and you said no, and I was like, you don't agree with that? But you're saying, yeah, like the really good stuff is usually from the tortured.
Well, I mean, I mean, all songwriting is really describing the room you're in. You know what I mean? That's all you're doing.
Right.
And if you can figure a clever way of doing that, and that goes down to like what people like and what their own taste and stuff. But if your room is boring, you got a boring song.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
and
pain is interesting.
And happy, it can be a little boring.
Most people, when you really think about it, most people have a harder time relating to happy.
Yeah.
That's more of a wish. Everybody can relate to pain.
Huh. Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, it's
interesting.
I personally think the best lines I've written have all come from some pretty deep,
Some pretty dark places. Yeah.
My favorite line is I've literally ever written was sometimes mercy is a sharpened blade.
Yeah.
And that came after when I was telling you about my stepfather.
Yeah.
Drunk, sitting on a riverbank, watching him suffer for so long and just thinking like, Jesus, just let it be over.
Right.
And that thought came in my head. Sometimes mercy is a sharp blade.
Oh, okay. Now I feel okay.
Yeah.
I know I've touched on it a little bit, but my dad is like fucking dying. He's got
I'm sorry.
Dude, it's all right. I mean, like, it's been going on for a really long time. So at this point, like I'm at that point where I'm like, I wouldn't let my fucking dog suffer like this.
Yeah.
It would make me a bad person to let my dog like be in this rough of shape and not take him out in the woods and lay him down.
When you actually really realize that that's all about money too, that's where it gets really sucky.
Really, really irritating.
The money that they make off of keeping people alive as long as they can.
Yeah. Yeah. We spend so much of our budget on the end of life care.
Anybody that's really seen anything like that will say the same thing.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
You can say euthanasia is, immoral or whatever else.
But yet,
witness what happens on the reverse side
yet,
of it.
like, if I like literally tried to keep, I keep going back to the dog thing, but if I had a dog like this that couldn't get out of bed, that couldn't do anything, couldn't like go to the bathroom by itself, and I like spent a shit pile of money to keep him alive, you would think I was a fucking asshole or like a something would be wrong with me.
Yeah.
And yet we do this for our
you see it as morbid.
And I find it just horrible. And sometimes.
Well, it should be up to the person.
Sometimes
when
mercy is a sharpened knife.
Oh.
The problem with Alzheimer's is that it's a slippery slope, and by the time you realize, a lot of times it's already too fucking late. Yeah, it sucks. But I've kind of already come to terms with it, like that he's gone. Now it's just this body waiting to die. So, hey, that was really fucking happy. Let's
me and my brother have after watching what happened to my stepfather, he took me aside once and he was like, this is trying to make it a little, it's trying to be a little more cheerful. He was just like, dude, want flew to the cuckoo's nest? I'm like, yeah. He's like, chief me.
Yeah.
That's all he said. Yeah. Chief me if this happens.
Well, I sat down and talked to my boys after, watching Dad go through this and told them, like, guys, like, I'm telling you, like, I'm not going to get to that point. Like, I'm never going to put you guys through what we've had to go through. Like, that's not happening. And they got it, No. And I wasn't like, you're going to need to cut my throat with a sharp knife. But it was, I'm
well,
like,
to be honest, there are medical, even the community secretly has they call it snowing, where when they know, they call it, snowing, which is basically they give them too much morphine.
How do you sign up for that, from the love of Christ?
Well, it's basically, because they'll get in trouble for it. It has to be accidental.
So I have a friend, and I'm not going to call her out, but her father, like, recently died of Alzheimer's, and watching him go through it, she's like, I am retiring to Oregon. Like, when I retire, I'm going to Oregon because they have euthanasia, and that's fucking all there's to it. Like, I would never ever want to go through what that fucking guy had to go through for months and months and months, and it's horrible. I would like to talk about anything else.
I couldn't put that on my son. I would have to. I gotta put that on one of my guys that's got more warrior in him. Like, my son's not that guy. It would be like you or Jeremy Dahl or
dude.
Cody
I'll be a second for you. I'll cut your fucking head off. Like, how long we gotta wait? How bad you gotta be? You've been very forgetful lately. I got my sword right now.
Every day you see him, I'm like, how you feeling today, buddy?
I've got to fatten Matt up because there's no way I can wear his skin. Wait, maybe I'm approaching this the wrong way. Shit. Good times.
Did we just segue into Buffalo Bill?
That we did segue. So actually, I didn't do it, or no, I did do it. I can't remember if I did or not. But I was listening to NPR one day, and they were talking about how, like, they finally are able now to, like, make synthetic human skin, and I was like, oh my god! And I immediately, I think I did buy it. I don't own it anymore though. But I went and got the URL. Buffalo Bills Persemporium.com, Buffalo Bills Persemporium.com, and then where I was gonna, like, make human skin purses,
Handbags and stuff.
handbags and shit, and
Branch
then
out into
and the whole
lampshades.
and like our motto would be, it puts the lotion on the skin. I was like, this is $1 million idea.
Jesus.
I've had a lot of those. They are actually like, they are not $1 million ideas.
No.
They
that's
they
one of those-
usually
Yep.
I usually like get them, and I also had the idea of starting a business called Hippie Crit, which was like where we would sell shit that was like, well, like hybrid, like magnets to go on your, 96 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and then we do commercials for it. Like, this hybrid magnet won't actually get you better gas mileage, but it'll certainly make you look like you have better gas mileage.
We've got merchandise. We've got authentic fake tie-dye shirts.
Exactly.
Shit like that.
Yeah. Also, never went anywhere on that one. So, what do you do? So speaking of all of the sad songs that you do, I know, like, we're not going to get into the murder ballad thing, but I like me a good murder ballad. But I know that there's a song that you play that's a little dark, but it's one of my favorites, called German Chocolate Cake. And how did this one develop?
Well, this one literally this one came from, well, it was twofold of like, everybody gets pissed off, in the reverse when you're killing a woman in a song, which rightfully so. So I
Even more pissed off when you're killing one in a hotel.
Apparently you get in trouble for that. No, but they it's just a tradition. Murder ballads are a tradition. Like, they're a songwriter tradition. Like, everybody writes.
Man, Johnny Cash had like 35
His
of them.
career was that, yeah. But obviously in today's climate, it's a sensitive subject. So I just reversed it, which is the woman's killing me. And that's okay.
Yeah.
So
As long as somebody dies.
What was that fucking that country song? It's the first time I heard the song, and it became hugely popular. It was she's talking about like catching this guy cheating, and she like destroys his pickup.
yeah.
And shit like that. Like anything like that, I'm just like, oh man, I'm like, if you switch that up, man, people would lose their fucking minds. But it's all right. It's a good thing that we're teaching young girls and stuff through this music. Yeah, don't deal with it like a fucking grown up. Just do some vandalism or attack the motherfucker. But yeah, no, that there's a very distinct double standard and that sort of thing.
I'm okay with that.
Well, I think everybody should be okay with all of it, though. I mean,
I think women have their due. I think they have their due. They should be able to sing anything like that after. I mean, if you think how long men have basically oppressed women and have kept them as property, basically, if historically speaking, it's like a lot of the racial stuff going on too. I mean,
Right.
all lives matter. Every time I'm like, really?
Oh,
Like,
I had a friend
Jesus
who I
Christ.
really respect, like, say that to me the other day, and and she was like, well, I think all lives matter, and I was like, stop saying that, and she's like, why? Like, I think all lives matter. I'm like, I know what you were trying to say, but like, I don't. But it's kind of code for I'm a bigot, right? She's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, it's totally straight up like code for what you may as well like just, you know what? Like,
Well, a lot of
I'll
good
get you
people
the
just are
Don't Tread
confused
on
with
Me
what it
shirt.
means.
You can just wear my good,
Yeah.
you can just wear the Don't Tread on Me shirt, walk around
Yeah.
saying all lives matter. And, here's a Make America Great Again hat. Like, just, you may as well just push all in.
Yeah.
And she's like, are you serious? That's what it means? It's like, yes, that's fucking what it means. I'm like, I get your sentiment.
I think worse.
The whole all life matters thing?
I do. I think it's
yeah,
one
because
of
you're
the worst.
basically saying, I do believe all lives matter, by the way. But what
Of
you're
course.
saying
Of course.
is that
You're diminishing
your
their
cause,
struggle
the
and
Black
stuff.
Lives Matter cause, is
It's like the straight pride parade.
right, right.
Shut the fuck
Yeah, when
up,
is it
you
ever becoming
crybabies.
embarrassing?
And the thing about the straight pride parade that blows my mind is that they're all wearing assless chaps. Like, how straight are you?
I saw you at the gay pride parade, only you were wearing a fucking costume.
It's something super weird. Every time I say Drew, I asked Drew to play a song, that a train goes by, but then it never actually goes by.
God
It
doesn't
just
like my
honks
music.
its horn. Oh, that's for sure. Are you gonna play us
Yeah,
German
I'm gonna
chocolate cake?
Grab this other guitar quick.
Oh yeah, switch them up. We will just talk amongst ourselves. The Civil War was neither civil nor a war. Discuss.
What the fuck is that from?
Coffee talk from Saturday Night Live a million
Coffee
years
talk.
ago.
Oh, I'm feeling a little verklempt.
I say that's always my thing. Like talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a subject. The Civil War. It's neither civil nor a war. Discuss.
Fuck, our old man references.
Yeah, this song also is referencing basically the idea of this was thinking of like hell for me. And I was dating a woman at the time, was super controlling, and what I found out later was cheating, and she was paranoid as hell that I was.
And then you married her.
No, no, my wife is awesome.
She is awesome.
No, basically she gets super jealous at anything, like weird jealous. Like I'd take a shower before a show and she'd be like, why are you taking as in like it meant something. Like, yeah, I'm trying to be clean for the ladies. Like, what does the fuck does that mean? But anyways,
Why else would you want your nuts to smell good?
That's a song right there. Yeah, but anyway, she was super jealous, and I could have totally seen her do something like this. And the worst nightmare for me is German chocolate cake. I fucking hate German chocolate cake.
God, I love German chocolate cake.
I do too, but
How?
I don't know, coconut and everything. I love it.
Yeah, shit.
Shredded coconut is bullshit, dude. That's not a real thing. That's not a real thing.
Man,
are you judging me?
It doesn't grow in the wild like that, but I mean,
I will respect anybody's choices and everything except shredded coconut.
Okay.
That's the only thing.
Well, I actually like German chocolate cake.
Well, literally,
but I love this song.
I literally hated it so much. An older brother that you get back at each other. He used to, it's your birthday, you get whatever cake you want, and you were always excited when your siblings. He's like, hey, I get cake, even though it's not my birthday. He would get my mom to buy him a German chocolate cake because he knew I hated it. It's not that he loved it; it was just to fuck me out of getting cake.
See, I have a German chocolate cake story that involves my older brother, but my little fat ass ate all the frosting off the cake while it was in the fridge. And when my mom had made one for him for his birthday, and then I fucking went and hid. And then when my mom found me hiding, I was like, "How did you know it was me?" Just a gluttonous little fat kid with fucking German chocolate cake all over his face.
You just got the coconut just all around. Look like you had a white beard.
Too. Yeah, I had a beard back then. There was little coconut flakes in it.
I don't have a German chocolate cake story.
Work on that.
I don't eat cake.
I spent Christmas Eve sleeping on a truck stop floor. My bathroom stall, broken lock on the door. Seemed like the safest place. I don't sleep anymore. Don't think I can sleep for long. Last time I slept, things been a week. Sprung up wide awake, put my own voice shriek. The sweat felt funny rolling down my cheek. I didn't think I could sleep so long. Dreamt my old lady baked a German chocolate cake with the marmalade frosting like she knows I hate. Though I'm allergic to the coconut flakes, she slowly keeps feeding me. She said there's one promise I swear to keep. You with another woman, I'll cut you in your sleep. Stick an ice pick through you, spinal cord deep, make you a mute cripple if you do me wrong. The neighbors all say since his accident, her love for him seems so evident. Never left his side, though he's sick ever since. One for her, never lived so long. My old lady baked a German chocolate cake with the marmalade frosting like she knows I hate. Though I'm allergic to the coconut flakes, she slowly keeps feeding me. Spent Christmas Eve sleeping on trucks to floor on the bathroom stall. Broken lock in the door, seemed like the safest place. Don't sleep anymore, don't think I can see for long. Don't think I can see for long. Haven't slept in oh so long. Haven't slept in oh so long.
Twisted. I like it.
Yeah, very twisted. Remember back in the day.
That one gets a lot of uncomfortable laughs when people actually hear the lyrics.
Oh, really? See, I love a murder ballad. Like, I mean, I always love Johnny Cash's murder ballads.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, they're the best. I mean, yeah.
Well, people are taking things too serious these days.
You think?
That is just the thing.
And I mean, like here, we were. I mean, Kyle and I are both pretty, like, you know, open-minded, liberal, you know, like, you know, wokish, you know, people. And I know you're not a like whack job, you know, right wing, whatever. And yet still, I'm like, you keep taking away everything. Like I can't say anything.
Well, there's
anymore.
the hard part right there. There's whack jobs on both sides.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
Indeed.
And when the whack jobs are driving the bus.
That's the problem.
And the weirdest part
right.
is both sides. It's morality. It's the sense of morality. And when there's an edge there to it where you're like, you know, that's
And all this shit over here offends these guys. You got a totally different bunch of shit over here that offends these guys. Everybody's so fucking offended. Ugh.
Yeah, that's a tough one, you know. And I mean, I get it. I wanna be politically correct. I want.
No,
to
you
be,
don't. You want to tell them to fuck off. You want to piss them off. I do. I mean,
well, I don't want to be wrong-minded, but it's like I want
Did
to
you guys
be.
watch the new Chappelle?
I did. It was so good. Did you watch it?
I did.
You did?
You know,
I don't think I'm 100% finished with it. I watched most of it.
he's getting in a lot of trouble for the GPTL.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's way incorrect. It's way
man,
incorrect.
it was awesome. Like I loved it. I loved it start to finish. It would be pretty hard to make it through that without him stepping on, you know, something that you felt strongly about.
Well, I feel like people are misunderstanding what humor is nowadays. You know what I mean?
It's
People
like,
getting pissed off at comedians is fucking ridiculous.
The first time you laugh in your life is your mom goes boo,
right.
right?
Yeah.
It's the confusion. It's fear. It's fear. It's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But then you realize, wait, I'm going to save face. Oh, I'm going to giggle instead of cry.
Right.
That's where a giggle comes from. That's humor down to its core.
Right.
It's got to be, you know what I mean? Otherwise,
It's got to
not
be
funny.
scary.
It's got
Else
to
it's not
scare you
funny.
a little bit. It's got to
scary.
make you question things.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I loved it.
When did people start believing everything a comedian says?
Right.
Right. And what is the least funny shit? You know, like that's a great point. And like, and how fucking not funny is a really safe comedian?
Yeah.
Like, well, I can't even think of a really safe. I mean, who the fuck was a really safe comedian? I have
Bill Cosby.
That's true. That's true.
Bill Cosby was a safe comedian.
And he's not scary.
No,
Not at all.
Not unless you're
a pudding pop. Yeah.
All right. Well, my bladder timer has gone off, so we got to take a little break, and then let's come back and do some more. All right. Welcome back to Spitballing. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy,
Kyle Amundsen.
and we got Drew Peterson back in the house. How you doing, Drew?
Doing good, man.
All right. We were just down some weird rabbit holes on our break talking about having our babies born, and you reminded me that you got a couple of kids that have names out of Outsiders.
Yeah, Essie Hinton.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, she was 16 years old when she wrote that book.
It's amazing. I mean, and she wrote. She had a bunch of good books. I mean, like the Rumblefish and oh shit, why can't I think of more? Oh yeah, that's right, because I read them when I was a teenager. That's why I can't think of it. But yeah, man.
That was then. This is now.
Yes.
Yeah. I always was intrigued by your son's name, Soda Pop, and you, like on your first album, you have that song. What is the song called? Soda Pop?
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a good song, sad song.
I don't play that one anymore.
Yeah, I was just saying. It's a great song. Check out the albums. We should actually talk a little bit about that. So you can get pretty much all of your music online on, well, not all of your music. That would be ridiculous. But all of your released music.
Yeah.
And what's the website?
I think you get it at drewpetersonsmusic.com.
Yeah.
Or you can follow any of the other. You can follow 40 Watt Bulb or Dead Pigeons. You know, they all go back to the
I'm gonna be a Nazi. Just get a little closer to your microphone.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, you gotta do. You gotta get the NPR voice on. Somebody told Meta.
That's great.
Somebody told Meta that she sounded like the salty balls girl.
I'm just thinking of that every time I hear a mic like this.
Yeah.
I love his sweaty balls.
And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But then she sent me the link, and I was like,
You've
oh,
never
yeah.
seen that?
No, I
What
have.
cave do you live in?
I just didn't get the reference when she said that she sounded like the sweaty balls guy, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then, but then she sent me
like
the link,
Baldwin.
and then I watched it. And I was like,
Quite possibly the funniest
it's pretty fucking
SNL
great.
skit.
Oh, I don't know, man. My favorite SNL skit is when Alec Baldwin again is doing Donald Trump, but he's going to apologize for grabbing women in the pussy, and he says, I would just like to apologize. He goes, are you apologizing? He goes, oh no, I never do that. I just like to apologize. So now whenever I fuck up, I always try to apologize for whatever I did.
Nice.
Because, gotta show solidarity.
What is that with him? Like, he won't admit any. I mean, I'm not even joking. I keep seeing this
What is
stuff
it?
about Alabama, the Sharpie, and I literally have a hard time believing that that's not a fucking joke. Like,
Well,
how is that not like?
A lot of that stuff. I'm like really, I see that stuff. I read shit all the time, and I'm like, man,
Is that
that's
for real?
not. Yeah.
Is that
So-
for real? Like, he can't be doing that for real. Like, nobody's that fucking stupid, right?
So I
Like,
don't know.
he's trolling people, right?
I
Yeah,
was-
that's
maybe-
I get the impression. I mean,
Yeah.
or maybe am I giving him too much credit? Because I don't feel like I'm likely to give him too much credit, but at the same time, I'm like, like you didn't make it this far. I mean, well, whatever, from rich kid to rich dude, whatever. But like, you haven't like gone through your whole life and you still say and do shit like this. Like you're fucking with us.
Well, in my opinion, the only people really left supporting him are trolls. They really are. Like, everybody I know that still like love Trump, they love the agitation of it. Like, they do. They love the agitation of it.
Absolutely. My dad just kind of he's like, oh, I was gonna get a Trump flag, just to piss my neighbor off, and I'm like,
See?
like you just want to piss people off. Oh man, that's what it's all about. But like I said earlier, I like to piss people off. Like I enjoy pissing people off.
You do.
So I mean, not everyone. I don't want everyone pissed off, but like but if somebody gets pissed off and a couple of people are snickering with me over here, that's amazing. Right? Like that's makes life worth living. The warm fuzzies
I
over that
listen
shit.
to a lot of podcasts. I don't know if you guys know that, but I was listening to another Joe Rogan podcast with Penn Jillette on it. Yeah, Penn and Teller. And I actually
Fucking brilliant dude.
Well, actually, I listened to a podcast with him on it 5-6 years ago, and I was like not all that taken with him. And now, but I listened to this one, and I was like really taken with him. And I think that like he actually he's kind of gone through a metamorphosis. He lost a ton of weight, really examined his life. And at the time, it was him and Joe, and or I don't know if it was him and Joe actually, because this was the first time he was on Joe Rogan, but he was talking about drugs and about how he was against legalizing drugs at the time, and he's totally changed now. And even though he still is like his number, anyway, not about that. He was on The Apprentice with Donald Trump and did a season on The Apprentice, and he was just saying like, this is a weird man. He's a really weird man. He's never laughed without it being mocking. Like, he's never, in the time that they were together, he's never actually like had an actual chuckle. It's like he will laugh, but it's always like he only laughs in a mean way. And he's never like made a joke that like, it's just it was a really weird thing he said, and then, but Penn Jillette like really liked him because he thought it was fun, he's like, he's great at that, what he was doing, but he's like,
There's a comedian that talks about that, of like, anybody can say what they want, but if you could spend a night with Trump, you would, and you'd probably have, of like, just to watch the debacle of it.
Yeah. And he said that, whatever his son is, Jared.
That's the son-in-law.
Maybe it was Jared. I don't know. But anyway.
Jared Kushner.
I mean, what's his other son?
Well, he is Don Jr.
Yeah, Don Jr.
I think it must have been Jared Kushner. Because he was also on The Apprentice, also worked on The Apprentice, whatever. And he asks or tells Penn, at some point, he goes, you're the only other like, person that's been on the show that actually likes my father. No, it had to be Don Jr. because he said my father likes my father. And Ben was just like, yeah, well, I think he's extremely entertaining. What more can I tell you? That's our job, is to entertain people. And the guy is super entertaining. He's batshit crazy, but he's super entertaining. So, but, and I don't know, I mean, a lot of people, have known Donald Trump, but, it's the guy who's had some real experience with him and says, God, I don't know if that motherfucker's all there, Well,
if he's not trolling people at this point, I really feel sorry for him. I
Also,
can't imagine living in existence where, like,
if he's not trolling people, I feel sorrier for all of us.
And the other thing that keeps coming up is that, like, he, like, may or may not be, addicted to amphetamines. Like, there was some...
He's too fat to...
Yeah, I don't know, man, but the motherfucker, like, goes 90 miles an hour all the time. He's always, like, tweeting at 4 o'clock in the morning and, like, whatever.
Do you really think that he handles all his own tweets, though?
Well, if he has a fucking team of people that make those ridiculous tweets, then...
I got to be honest. I think he does. I think, like, the part that people are underestimating is the way that he has a finger on a pulse. And it's not a pulse that anybody wants to admit exists. But he is really speaking to a mass of people, and it's a mass that he's saying exactly. And he's lived in a, you know what I mean? He's lived in a fucking golden palace, and there's no way he could have his finger on that pulse.
So how does he then?
Like
you think he's got a team?
I don't think it's any different than any other president. This is the whole thing of, like, even presidential candidates. I feel like sometimes I get a little weirded out with people in general where you're like, that's not that person. They have a whole crew of people that literally even decide his fucking tie. You know what I mean? Of, like, he's not no candidate is a real person. They sit in a group and they talk about the talking points. They talk about what should be said, what shouldn't be said, what should be, like, your tie, what you should wear. Like, there's people that do that for a living. They just travel around and get hired by whatever candidate and whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
I think that definitely is true once you become president, but, like...
Nah, but before that, you've got speechwriters, and the speechwriters, like, and then everything else, like, like, those aren't his words. That isn't what, like, I get what you're saying. I mean, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, because it's really, like, it's a big job.
But we talked a little bit about the Sarah Palin a couple of weeks ago, because Ben Folds has a fucking phenomenal song about Sarah Palin's daughter's boyfriend. You gotta check it out. I mean, she was such a flawed...
Sarah Palin, or as I know her, Lisa Ann.
From Waylon Palin.
The porn star that played her in Nailin' Palin.
Nailin' Palin. Yeah, I didn't know.
That's what pops into my head when I think of Sarah Palin.
But, like, she was such a flawed choice for vice president. She was had a huge... I mean, like, she was, like, vetted in, like, 5 seconds. And, like,
whereas Michelle Bachmann was a flawed choice for a human being.
Yeah.
But again, like, it's the finger on the pulse. Like, I think the part that, my opinion, what gets missed, Bachmann's the best example of that, is it's no different than, like, a comedian who, like, oh, they laughed at that, I'm going to keep going with that. That's all they're doing. It was, like, not for humor, but for, the pulse of it, of, like her constituents made her. You know what I mean? She didn't come out of a vacuum. Like, nobody's that fucking batshit crazy.
Are we talking about Bachmann? Or, or both of them motherfuckers?
Well,
Bachmann's crazy, though,
I
man.
think Palin was...
Like,
I think the media used
crazy.
Palin to basically end that. They just focused on her, and she, that's the part they didn't plan on. They looked at it and just thought, hey, we're going to make a woman vice. It's going to make us more... And all they had to do was focus on her, because she was... The vetting is the key on that. They obviously didn't plan on her being so batshit,
right,
or being such a debacle.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, like, the meetings that they had afterwards and being like, and her going like, oh, they love me. You know what I mean? They're going, stop, quit, stop. You're ruining
just all the weird shit, like her like coming to the door of her hotel room in a towel.
Yeah. And another thing that they,
and then she's like, I thought this was Nailin' Palin.
Speaking of Saturday Night Live, that's one of the Tina Fey doing her. Oh, God.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
I can see Russia from my kitchen
Tina
window.
Fey is so fucking brilliant.
You know, I was kind of disappointed when she like removed her scar. Like, because you remember when she was back on Saturday Night Live, she had a hella scar across her face.
That whole story is crazy.
Well, I don't know about it. I don't know what it is.
She was, I think it was acid, or maybe it was even just a cutting. A stranger, literally, she was playing in her yard when she was a little girl, came up and scarred her like
Yeah, I
that.
kind of remember hearing something about
You
that.
look at it, I don't remember if it was
But it was-
acid or
but
cutting,
it was like-
something like that, like some random person just.
But I like scars, and not just like it's not like a fetish thing. But I'm like,
I like the emotional ones. That's why I hang out in strip clubs.
scars, like Sarah Palin's scar. Sarah Palin's scar. No, Tina Fey's scar was like really like. I mean, it didn't like make her unpretty. It was just whatever. And yet, like then when she went on to 30 Rock, she removed it. And I was always like, okay. Let me just say this. I think I think fucking Tina Fey is less attractive without the scar. Like I think her
I got no
removing
problem believing that, yeah.
her removing the scar, I was kind of
But
disappointed.
you can
in her.
understand from her standpoint of like,
I couldn't, but
Especially if you're familiar with her character on 30 Rock. Did you
Actually,
ever watch that
and
show?
again-
I did. That was a funny show.
That's a fucking super funny show.
Again,
her
this
and
is one
fucking
I
Alec
didn't do.
Baldwin are just gold together.
like yeah, I mean yeah, I get it. I just
Alec
didn't watch
Baldwin's
it.
another one. He's hugely underrated. That guy is so goddamn funny.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, I just read something the other day about how he hates playing Trump on Saturday Night Live, and I was like, man, he sure seems like he's into it. You know, I mean, I
He's just
apologize
good.
for him having to do it. But
He's a strange dude. He is. He's on that Comedians and Cars Coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That'd probably be the first one that I watched then, because
It's
I'm
interesting. He's like a cult of personality. He makes, he makes Seinfeld seem like a wallflower. He's just so like, yeah. It's
the comedians and cars thing, I missed the beginning of your conversation, but what is that?
a Seinfeld is it started off as like just an online thing. He's fucking rich and bored, basically. Right. He likes to show off his cars, and he likes to show off that he has cool friends. So he basically picks a car. Some of it's rude as hell, actually. I don't think Seinfeld comes off looking great in the series, but he picks a car that he thinks represents the person he's picking up, and then they drive, go get coffee, talk about comedy. But a big part of it is he talks about the cars. And yeah, I mean, he does have some really interesting guests. I mean, that's the best part is just the guest on it. But
Where's that on now?
Netflix.
it's Netflix, yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to check that out.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like binge watch the whole thing in a night.
Really?
Yeah.
Just make sure you've watched all of Godless before you watch that, because I'm telling you, you're fucking missing out. That show's so good.
Godless? I don't know. What that is.
Yeah,
That's
so
the one we were talking about with Jeff Daniels.
Oh,
Like,
all right.
I mentioned earlier that he's this guy that he feels has betrayed him, that he kind of like raised pretty much, like his kind of adopted son, like betrays him, and he's looking for him, and he'll fucking kill anybody that helps this guy. So he, like, in the first episode, he wipes out this town, or like, no, before the first episode. It's like the aftermath of like was what you see. So he wipes out this town, and the town was called Creed, and he says, the good people of Creed let him walk their streets. Now they don't have any streets or any people. it's some good bad guy stuff. I love bad guys. Love
it's a
interesting
Western
bad
too.
guys.
I think you'll love it.
All great stories you can trace back to the bad guy. The best ones are always.
Man, I think so too. I mean, look at Darth Vader. You know,
Yeah.
like shit. You got to have a good bad guy.
Name one that's got a better hero than the Batman. I mean, you kidding me? Joker's 1,000 times more interesting than the Dark. Well, I have this debate with my son. The Dark Knight. You know, he's always like, man, everybody wants to make that film into like the second coming of whatever. The thing to me about it is the genius of that movie is how they made Batman cliche in that fucking movie. You know what I mean? Of like, Batman was irrelevant in the Batman movie. That's my opinion.
I just never really got into any of the Batmans. I mean, like I loved,
Dude,
I loved
that one's great.
That one is great. And actually, and the next one was great too. I thought, you know, like I thought Bane. I was like, not to the level that Heath Ledger did, but like with the Joker and stuff. But still, I was like, oh, that's another really good bad guy. Like, what do you got for that? And it's not because what's his name? The guy that played Batman.
Yeah, Christian Bale.
Yeah, it's not because Christian Bale did a great job or did a bad job. He did a great job.
I don't know. So I actually really, I mean,
Bad guy,
I only watched it one time back in the when it came out, but I thought the whole Christian Bale like voice thing bugged the shit out of me.
Oh yeah.
Bugged the shit out of me.
He's
And actually,
so bad.
we used to
So
make
bad.
fun
Yeah.
of Jared, and we would because he'd bring on the Batman voice, and he'd be like, "No, yeah, I would kill him." Just like what? Like, why are you doing the Batman voice, dude? Like, just drop it. That was so bad.
He's really bad.
And I had a really hard time getting over it.
That's one me and my son always debated was who was the best Batman in all the movies. Not going back. He likes.
I still have to go with Christian Bale.
I'm a Michael Keaton.
A lot of people
I
are.
actually am too. I only the part I like about him is even just the whisper. Who are you? I'm Batman.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I
do
mean?
too. I loved the first Batman movie, and I even loved the second one. I just thought they were great. Yeah,
I don't think the first one gets enough credit.
No, I don't think so either.
Tim Burton really bridged the gap that everybody couldn't figure out of how to turn these into movies.
And he was one of my favorite scenes in the first Batman is when they're all standing on the steps of the courthouse or whatever, and like the Joker guys come by and like are spraying, the crowd with bullets and everybody's scattering, and Michael Keaton just turns and just has like this. He just turns and looks like he's the only one who doesn't duck, because he's Batman. And I loved the second one too. Super weird and dark, the Penguin. Danny DeVito as the Penguin and shit. Those ones are
he
great.
was good in that.
Whoever was casting those was having a blast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then they were going to do number 3. You ever hear this story? No. This is great. This is Michael Keaton's. I love Michael Keaton. I think he's a fucking amazing guy. Really great actor. So they were going to do number 3, and they got Michael Keaton signed onto it, but they didn't want to have what's his name? The director, Tim Burton direct it. And Michael Keaton was like, I'm out. I won't do it. I'm not going to make a movie. Fuck, you're going to wreck it. And he said, I was listening to an interview with him, and he said, I think now, this was 20 years later, I think I've made as much money in my career from that time to this time as I would have made
On that one movie.
on that movie. I think I have. I'm not sure.
But it's cool that he was already in a place where he could make an integrity decision. I mean, there's not enough of that in the fucking world.
Yeah.
Well, the strange part of it, if you really look at it, I've tried to talk to my kid about this one too, is if you really think about with Keaton, that movie kind of killed his career. I mean, he was a big star and he did a lot of great
He was in a
films.
lot of big.
And then there's a huge drought, and the one that kind of brought him back, ironically, is Birdman. Do you remember Birdman? Did you see Birdman?
I didn't watch it, but I
Oh,
heard
God.
it was great.
So, dude,
Why
the
didn't I
premise,
watch that?
the premise of it is literally a guy who played a superhero in the way that it's you got to see it.
Birdman,
it's,
okay.
It's
I'm
genius.
going to check that out.
No,
and
it
how-
won a lot of shit. It was a big movie, for
It's
him.
really good. It's really good. There's a tracking scene like you've never seen in a movie. You know how they'll track with the camera, right? I to this day I can't figure out how the fuck they did it. I'm not kidding.
That's nice to have. That's a good problem to have when they stump you like that.
Oh,
you
I'm
know?
not kidding. It's a scene. It's amazing how long it goes without a cut. It's him and
So have you ever seen Battlestar Galactica, the series, the new series? You have. Oh, God, yeah. So say we all. Yeah. So the opening, it's really good. It's really good. But the opening scene is this really, really long running rail shot, and they. He's walking down the hall of the spaceship, and then people are coming by, and then the camera will start following the next person, but there's no cuts, and that's one that I know that Phil and I used to look at, going how the fuck would you even do that shot? I don't even know if that's possible. It's not CG.
Yeah.
How the fuck did they do it? They had a rail. They had a fucking Jesus. So I hear what you're saying.
Well,
yeah.
look it up.
I'm gonna have to
It's
do
one
it.
of the most amazing
Birdman.
things I've seen in a movie.
One of my favorite Michael Keaton roles, which is really obscure but was so good, was Much Ado About Nothing. Do you remember that
I
movie?
thought you were going to say Gung Ho.
Oh, Gung Ho was.
I enjoyed that.
I don't remember
That was a
Gung
good
Ho.
movie, yeah.
Mr. Mom.
I
No,
enjoyed that one
Much Ado About Nothing is Shakespeare, but he plays this crazy, I don't know, kind of like constable guy or whatever. And
He's great.
His fucking performance is so good, and it's just like, yeah, he's an
Did you see
amazing.
Founder?
I don't know if I have or not.
Founder is about the guy who started McDonald's, and it's the whole story of how basically he stole the idea of McDonald's. Again, he's just a cutthroat asshole he's so good at it. Like, he's so good.
Oh, I was trying to think of what I've seen him, because I was like, man, he's a really good bad guy too. And I was trying
Pacific
to think of what
Heights.
Oh yeah,
That was like a crazy one.
He was fucking great in there.
Yeah.
A lot of times the best villains are the ones that aren't even standard villains, though. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those guys of like, he looks like your dad's best friend or something. You know what I mean? He doesn't.
Well,
look
that's
like,
why I thought he was such a great role for Batman, because he wasn't like this fucking like.
Kevin Spacey plays the fuck out of
to
bad guys.
sell-
He's
you had
great,
to sell- Yeah, can we even say Kevin Spacey anymore? I don't know if we can.
man.
Isn't
I
it
gotta be honest,
illegal?
I've never been a big fan of his.
I really wasn't a big fan of his until I watched that.
American Beauty.
No, I hated American Beauty,
that
actually.
movie.
A lot of
I
people
liked
loved
it
it. I
too.
thought it was, I didn't really like it.
I don't think he was great. I thought Annette Bening was unbelievable in that movie.
She was,
I mean, I
she was
hated
great
her.
in that.
I hated her in that movie, but she was so good.
It was the Netflix one that about the
House of Cards. or
House of
whatever?
Cards. Yeah, I thought that was really, really well done. I thought he was super great in it.
I did not watch that.
Oh, it's good. It's good. I mean, it's fucking, whatever.
Do you remember the? Do you guys remember the TV series Wise Guy?
I do. Oh wait,
So he played a bad guy in there, and was it? And I'm trying to think of the guy that played the undercover cop. But I really enjoyed that series. I was young then. I don't know if I'd still like it then, or if I'd still like it now. But so he's playing this undercover cop, and he they get so close. You know, their relationship. You know, on the show. Like the characters are. You know, he loves him like a brother. You know. And then, you know, and he was a scary, like he was a bad guy, you know, but he had redeeming qualities. He was he was like a good bad guy. He was complex, you know.
yeah.
And I'll never forget, like, when he like finds out that like this guy is betraying him, you know, that he's an undercover cop and all this stuff. The scene was so fucking good, you know. And I think they played like Knights in White Satin and shit, you know, like it was so fucking like, and he was, you could just see how fucking heartbroken he was. And I'm just like, God damn, you know, like that really got me. And I'm like, motherfucker, you are a good actor. And then like, that was before I started, like that was the first thing I ever saw him in. And I see him in movies and shit like that. I'm like, God damn it. And then he's Kaiser Sosek. And
Yes, I didn't like.
you like The Usual Suspects?
The Usual Suspects, no.
What?
I know. But here's the deal.
All right, it was good talking to you guys.
Yeah, no, it's serious. So
Hey, I wasn't in love with Reservoir Dogs.
everybody.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, you guys.
there were some like the fucking. There are a couple of scenes in Reservoir Dogs that are like so fucking good. But The Usual Suspects.
It is the best Tarantino film.
Which one?
Reservoir Dogs.
You think so?
Name a better one.
True Romance, but I know that really
That's not
wasn't hit. Well, he wrote it and produced it. He wasn't direct. He didn't direct it. So, but
I did love True Romance.
True Romance is like one of the best films. Hey, can we get back to the fucking Usual Suspects?
Pulp Fiction?
Motherfuckers? Yeah, I mean it was all right. I mean it was great,
I
but
like
in its
Pulp
ways.
Fiction, yeah.
But
I just watched it again.
But I mean, best one.
I almost wore my new Pulp Fiction shirt. You remember the scene where Vincent Vega takes Uma Thurman's character out, and they're in that restaurant, and it's that great shot because you see like all these girls like looking in the mirror, they're primping and stuff, and all of a sudden she like comes up and she's like, "I say, goddamn," and so I got the fucking Uma Thurman like the shirt that says "I said goddamn," and I'm just like, I fucking love that shirt. So many great scenes in that fucking movie.
When I first watched The Usual Suspects, everybody I know was like, you gotta fucking see this. You gotta fucking see this. You gotta fucking see this. And I finally saw it. So I had really, really high
It's too built
expectations.
up.
Well, I was like 20 minutes in, and I said out loud, I think the Gimp is Kaiser Sose. Now,
It's weird that I feel
It
mad at you
wrecked it.
right now.
You want a funny one?
that is one of those films that
Yeah.
totally hinges upon you, like the great reveal.
Well, no, it's still a great movie. I mean, it's still great performances. There's still,
but maybe all those things are true, but without that great reveal, the movie's not nearly as good. And I was
you're
like,
right. You're right.
And fucking cast though.
It was great. And I mean,
Dude,
I even
performances,
rewatched it again, if because I was like, you're not the only person who ever tried to walk away from a conversation after I said I didn't like The Usual Suspects. But I was like, and I enjoyed it much more the second time I watched it, because now I didn't have to like be like,
sure,
who the fuck is Kaiser Soze? Who the fuck is Kaiser? But yeah, and I don't usually like guess the endings of movies.
Yeah.
I completely just like.
I usually don't even try.
No, I don't
But some
either.
people just live for that.
I
shit.
guard myself anytime anybody builds up a movie. Period.
Yeah.
Every time, because you're guaranteed. And I've had the experience actually where I walked in on it, where people are like, "That's the best fucking movie in the world." I saw it, and then like, I didn't like it. Then go back and watch it and be like, "Actually, it's fucking awesome." You
Right.
know what I mean? Like,
So part
and
of it is
that
your
great.
expectation.
When it's built up and you watch it and you're like, fuck yeah, it is. Then like, because I'm tough on movies that get built up a lot. But every once in a while, like was it Revenant?
See, I didn't like that one either.
That was another. I took my son to that. We're both so pumped for it. You come back and look at it. It's a great fucking movie. But
No, actually, when I watched it, and I went to it by myself, and I was like, okay, they were right. This is fucking amazing.
That movie had a fucking incredible scene when the guy gets like fucked up by the bear. By the way,
well, my only issue with that
spoiler
movie,
alerts.
Yeah, that is
But
a spoiler.
yeah,
My only problem with that movie is actually the same problem with Tarantino's new one. Edit it down.
right. It's too fucking long.
It is.
It was kind of boring.
Have you seen the new Tarantino?
No, I wanted to.
I heard it was terrible.
Well,
it's
it
not
seems
terrible.
like
It's just too fucking long.
it's-
If he would have edited it down, it's 3 fucking hours. There's
Yeah.
like 20 minutes of like Brad Pitt standing on a fucking roof. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's like, get to the point.
What is the movie? I don't even know.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, and like I heard there was like I don't know, there's been some like I've heard some good things about it from people that I like, and then some like horrible shit. But you liked it, but just it was too fucking long.
I wouldn't actually say I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not a big my boy. Like, we're both really into movies, and his favorite is Tarantino. He loves Tarantino.
See, I'm not a huge Tarantino fan, but I have enjoyed a bunch.
When you say
I have enjoyed,
Tarantino, though, like
I'd say probably half his movies.
It like like the Gambit, It just so I love.
Well, he's doing the next Star Trek.
Oh, that will be great. Like
I'm intrigued, but
where Spock cuts the
Wait.
fucking Klingon's ear off and like
Is he
does
really?
a little dance.
'Cause
That's what I heard.
I swear didn't he make a big deal out of like he's only making 10 films period that he's going to direct?
I think he's already done that.
I don't know. But I think I've read. Did I read that, or am I making that up? Maybe I don't know.
Shit happens in dreams all the time.
Could be. I mean, I'm sure they're throwing mad money at him for it.
What's the
Some
one?
great directors have done.
Oh no, that's right. Because he said it's going to be rated R, which is a big deal for a Star Trek movie.
I do not endorse that. I do not endorse that.
Are you kidding me? You're finally
Durango Unchained, Django.
That was a great film.
Django
That was pretty good.
Unchained.
That was pretty damn good.
I fucking loved that one.
Yep.
There was not much you could not like about that film.
Best actor in it though.
Uh,
I love this with my boy. We have like talks about stuff like this. It's Samuel L. Man, he's so fucking good in that film.
he's the one. He's the.
He's the house. Yeah, he's the house.
Oh,
slave.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was.
Oh my god,
That
it's so
was good in
uncomfortable to
there.
even watch. You know what I mean? It's so uncomfortable. to even
I was going to say Leonardo DiCaprio, but then I
I
remembered.
didn't really like. I mean, he was all right, but Jamie Foxx, man, like he didn't even like. Well, I was like, did you see what he did to his fucking body to do that role? He's just kind of a regular dude, and all of a sudden he was just fucking jacked.
You've
and I
probably
thought he
never
was
seen
great.
Any Given Sunday. Not
I
being
didn't. No.
See,
Okay.
I hated that movie.
I fucking love that movie. I hated it the first time I watched it,
Oh, I should go back to it.
but man, and I'm a football guy,
At the time I was, but
so like I hated it the first time I watched it. I was like, this is shit. We tried it again a couple of years later, and
Isn't
I'm
it
like,
like Al
fucking
Pacino?
it's amazing. Yeah.
it gave me a headache, man. It was so much. That's what I just remember. Like it was just like Yeah, that's,
It was shot pretty aggressively.
Oliver Stone directed that.
Yes.
I usually like Oliver
Which is a
Stone.
really weird call for him.
Really weird subject matter. I mean, I like Oliver Stone's moves, most of them.
But Pacino was fucking brilliant in there, you know. And there was just, I mean,
I honestly think I may have started that movie and quit just because I was like, oh. But I am so not interested in sports that it's hard for me. Like, but I mean, there are sports movies I like, but it's got to be a fucking Bad News Bears kind of thing, you know.
well, this was not Bad News Bears.
Sure, like the Hoosiers was great, but that was a Bad News Bears. That
See,
was
I don't like sports movies.
like you give me that trope of the shitty team that gets the. I mean, like fucking the Mighty Ducks, you know. Like I'm like, yeah, I can fucking get behind that. But you want to like actually like show me what real sports is like? I'm just not interested. And I think Any Given Sunday was that. One of my favorite, this is weird though, one of my favorite movies, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up with the name of it. It was Dances with Wolves, come on. Kevin Costner,
Yep.
and he's a baseball player, and he pitches.
Oh, Bull Durham.
No, though that is true.
Well,
He pitches the
Wearing
last.
wearing the lingerie and shit like that. God, that was a fucking.
And I like Bull Durham, but this is like a fairly recent, within the last 10 years. He pitches a perfect game, right? Do you remember? You haven't seen this?
What?
The whole movie takes place on the mound with Kevin Costner, like pitching this game, and he's he's an old, kind of a washed up.
I've never even heard of this.
For the love of the game, maybe. Yeah, but Kevin Costner, look into it. It's boring. Like it's not a fast. Well, I mean,
When you said the whole movie takes place on the mound, that made me think of that fucking awful phone booth movie with was it Colin Farrell or whatever?
Oh God, that's bad. Yeah, I think it was it called Cell or something like that?
I don't even know.
So Kevin Costner's on the mound pitching this game, and then he flashes back to his life, right?
Yeah.
And it is so well shot, directed, like written. It's a really beautiful movie. Like I loved it. I loved the way it was made, and I actually thought it was really good. Plus Kevin Costner's good.
See, the shit that goes into the making of a movie is something that, like, for the longest time I was just content to, like, I hate that movie. I like that movie. Didn't know what I liked about the movie, really. Couldn't tell you. But, you know, as I get a little older, now I'm starting to pick up on the things that I really, you know, I had a film appreciation class in college or like that, but I am just now, like, I feel like I'm just now learning the stuff that I really fucking enjoy about movies. And, you know, and maybe it's different, you know, from movie to movie or whatever. But now I feel like I should revisit a lot of movies that I didn't like because now I just appreciate different things.
Oh, it's always a good call. There's so many movies as a kid that I loved or I thought were great films. And that's one of the fun things of having a kid who's really into movies. Be like, oh, we got to watch this one. This is one of my favorites. And you go back to it and like, God, that's not even very good.
Or
vice versa. Right, yeah.
Or vice versa. Well, you want to know a movie that fucking holds up 100%? Silverado.
Oh, it totally does. That's
Fucking
a good.
Goddamn right.
Did
I mention that earlier when I was talking about?
No, I don't think so. But
man.
I was like, I wanted to like so I bought my son when he was 16, I think 15 or 16, his first gun. It was a Colt 22 pistol. And when I was a kid, I like, my dad had a Ruger 22 pistol and like taught me to shoot and quick draw and everything. So whatever. So I wanted to get him this gun, and it was kind of a big deal. And then we went down the road of fucking cowboy movies. And I was like, dude, I don't know. This is an old movie, but I really remember loving it. And I haven't seen it in a long time. So let's try it. Silverado. Oh my God. I was like, this is one of the best.
That's Costner's best film.
He was great in it. He was just a kid.
It's the only time he plays another character. Costner's always the same
You know?
character. You know?
Wait, what was his name? Billy? Or something? I think it was. He's got the. He's got
himself.
Yep.
So fucking Brian Dennehy, the corrupt sheriff.
Yeah.
Well, dude, Kevin Kline.
Kevin
is that
Kline?
his name?
Yeah.
Dude,
great.
My favorite character in that fucking movie. God, what a good character.
And he gets shot, like, and he's wearing the long johns, and he's out there trying to load the gun as the guy's like shooting at him, and it shoots right between his legs, and he's like, and then he fucking finally gets his gun loaded and then shoots him. Just great. I'll take that. That's
Dude,
$25.
Jeff Goldblum playing that sleazy gambler guy.
That's a great look. Yeah, if you haven't seen it,
What-
Silverado. One
Hey,
of the
there's a
best.
string of westerns, man, that you should mention, like Open Range.
Open Range is
Open
great.
Range was good.
Why is every why are
And Open Range
why-
didn't even have much action.
we're like gonna suck Kevin Costner's dick at the end of this, or what's happening here? Like
Man,
every
it's just a
message,
good-
but he really did. Open Range is great. I actually have watched the last 10 minutes of Open Range, maybe 15 minutes, like 25 times. It's the best gunfight.
Oh, when
in-
he rolls up on that dude and like, are you that fellow that shot my butt? Whatever the fuck he said. I can't even remember what it was, but it was a good line. And he just, well, spoiler alert, whatever the fuck. That's fucking 10. That movie's a decade older. More,
Yeah, whatever.
But dude, just fucking.
My favorite scene in Open Range is when they're getting ready and he's like loading up and he's telling what's the name of the other actor, the bald guy?
Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall.
Who is another guy that if there's a fucking Western and you put Robert Duvall in it,
I'm
watching it.
Yeah.
Dude, he's just one of those guys like Sam Elliott, you know.
Geronimo.
I'm in.
That was a good one, and Robert Duvall is a big character in there. That's great.
Have you seen this one?
Well, I want to finish the scene. So he's like loading his gun, and he's telling Robert Duvall, like, when they come in, like, you're gonna, like, I'm gonna be somebody else. You're gonna need to like stay out of my way, you know. And it was such a cool thing. Like I'm gonna be a killer then. So you're just gonna need to give me space. And it was such a neat fucking scene.
The scene I always think about from that movie was Robert Duvall talking to that young guy about cheating at cards, about how a man's trust is a valuable thing and not worth losing over a fucking game of cards.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, God, but that's, you know, like part of the magic of fucking Westerns and stuff like that. And a guy like Robert Duvall, like Robert Duvall was telling that to me, you know, like shit like that. Like that's the
And
fucking magic.
he's
And
so
they don't
great,
make enough
though,
good
'cause,
Westerns
like,
anymore.
well, in Geronimo, he's a fucking asshole, and yet, like, he's still like one of the best characters. And I love him when he died, like the scene, his dying scene.
Do you know this one with I can't think of the name of it. It's Tommy Lee Jones.
And Robert
Kate
Duvall?
Blanchett.
Because
Like
we
they-
always talk about Lonesome Dove.
No, it's a newer movie. Kate Blanchett, like Indian.
Yes.
This Indian.
Cold, clear, cold.
They steal her daughter.
Yep.
And they're selling her.
The
like,
Missing or whatever.
That's what it is.
That's another one.
Yeah.
Where I remember going in that one, going like, Tommy Lee Jones. I can't watch anything he keeps in. Holy shit, that's good.
Yeah, it's a
Such a
fucked
good
up movie. Yeah, the bad guy. That was
Is that
bad,
the one where-
that was a bad guy.
Was that the
Yeah,
one where
scary.
they put the dude in the skin?
I think so. I just remember the bad guy being this like fucking crazy
Weird
Comanche,
tooth, yeah.
like just
That
just a
he's like
scary dude.
a mystic. You know, like
He actually reminded me of the bad guy from the books of Lonesome Dove very much, because that was one thing that Lonesome Dove didn't do in the movie was really like capture the bad guys.
Just
but-
the scene where they kill the one guy, where they put him in a deer skin and heat the skin slowly.
Yeah.
Without showing a thing.
yeah.
Without showing a thing. Just like, oh, Jesus.
Man.
I just watched. We are going down a fucking crazy rabbit hole, but I love it.
Hey,
Did you watch the
We don't
one?
get to talk Westerns that often.
with,
They don't even apply much.
It was a horror western that came out fairly recently.
Bone.
Yes.
Tomahawk Bone.
Tomahawk Bone.
Yeah.
Sure. Did you
Bone
watch
Tomahawk.
that? Bone Tomahawk.
Was that what?
Bone Tomahawk? Tomahawk
Or
Bone.
I don't
Hey,
know.
we
I
need a
think it's Tomahawk
Jamie.
Bone.
What? Refresh my memory. I think I saw this.
So it was who was the actor?
He's in all Tarantino shit too.
Yeah,
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, and he's like, they have to go. Fuck, I don't even remember the plot. But there's these troglodytes, right? And they are like basically
God
like
damn it! Yes,
they're
like caves and shit
people,
at the
and they're
end of it.
fucking. Oh my god! But I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was going to be a fucking western. And me and my
I did the same thing.
yeah, me and
I was like, well,
and-
that's
and
interesting.
Pates rented it, and I'm like,
What the fuck? Yeah.
I liked it. You know, but it was just like, I was like, this is fucking whack.
Then of course, speaking of Kurt Russell, Tombstone, which okay, isn't the greatest Western ever.
That's a great
But
film,
man,
though.
it is
It's
fucking
so
great. And it's
quotable.
so, yes.
You know, two came out at the same time, and that's
Right.
that's one of the
So
confusing parts.
I-
and they're both good.
Yeah, the Kevin
you know what?
Costner Wyatt Earp
right.
or whatever.
Wyatt Earp. I watched Wyatt Earp before I watched Tombstone. And I got to tell you, it fucking wrecked Tombstone for me.
Really?
I remember having that experience, but I don't remember which one was which.
You probably watched Tombstone first. If you watch Tombstone first, you can watch Wyatt Earp, and it's just better. It's just more. It's like flushing out the story.
I think that was the progression for me
right?
too.
But if you watched Wyatt Earp first, you knew everything about Wyatt Earp. You went into Tombstone, and you're like, oh, well, where's his brother, and where's what? Like there was so it was like getting the. The like fucking 3-2 version of Wyatt Earp. So I had a really hard time with it. And fucking Wyatt Earp was amazing. I mean,
it's a better made film.
Well, yeah,
but Tombstone's more quotable.
Tombstone. I would have loved.
Goddamn Val Kilmer.
I probably could have, and actually, I probably could now. I could probably watch Tombstone now and really enjoy it. But I literally watched those two fucking movies within like weeks of each other, and was like, oh man, this one's definitely like light, you know.
I'll be your Huckleberry. That's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Another cool old one that I loved was, did you see The Long Riders?
No.
It was a story of the James Gang, and they used all these actor brothers, siblings, not, that wasn't a blaxploitation movie or anything. Yeah. That was with Mario Van Peebles and stuff, at Posse. But, so they used like the Carradines.
Oh, yeah.
And they used That's
Carradine and Silverado.
Carradine's Keaches. They used the Cousin Eddie and the Quades. So they used all these brothers to play brothers. And they cover like they did an amazing job. They shot the shit out of like the Northfield, Minnesota raid and shit when they got all shot to fucking pieces. And I mean, it was.
What's the name of this movie?
The Long Riders.
And it's relatively recent, or?
No, it's old. It's from it's from the 80s. But
I can't believe I've missed a Western. I mean, I think I've watched. I watched pretty much, even a really horseshit Western on like pretty much.
I'll watch anything. I'm ravenous with watching movies. Oh, I gotta ask, have you guys seen
go ahead.
Kurosawa stuff? If you like West, I know it's a movie geeky thing.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I've watched The Seven Samurai.
Yeah. When you start getting those, that's when you actually really start to, in my opinion, like really understand and appreciate a good Western, because they're all based off of those. They really are.
Well, I mean, the Magnificent Seven was like basically a complete ripoff off that. Have you seen the new Meg? Is it called The Magnificent Seven? The new one?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, so did we already talk about this on here? We may have, but it doesn't matter. No, probably not, because it's so fucking animated. Okay, so I loved it. I thought it was great, except for one little fucking part, and it made me so angry. So Denzel Washington's character, right, is wearing a left-handed. His gun is left-handed cross-draw. Right? And I thought, that's so fucking cool. I have never in my life, in all the Westerns I've watched, I don't think I've ever seen a left-handed cross draw. I've seen right-handed cross draws, and I've seen, right-handed this, and I've seen left-handed, but I've never seen a left-handed cross draw. And then the motherfucker is standing there like this with his fucking hand on his gun like this, and then he goes to shoot, and he's like, and I fucking went. I mean, it's me and Logan and Peyton are sitting there watching this thing, and I'm like, hold it, stop the movie. No, lights come on. I'll get the gun out.
Just to show them how fucking stupid that is.
I'm like, you can't do it. I said, you can't do it. So we get the gun out, I'm like, unload it, making sure it's unloaded.
I've had a few drinks, boys.
There may have been a few drinks involved, but I'm like,
you go get the gun, you go get the whiskey.
There was 3 boys. Matt had 3 boys originally.
It's impossible. It's impossible to do. Your belly is in the way. You can't get the gun out. Because see, you pull it out, you can't. The barrel would have to cut through your body. It can't happen. Plus, if it did happen, it would be extremely dangerous.
You know what the best part of a Western is? Period. Is it's all fictional. None of it ever.
Yeah. Okay.
Historically,
maybe
never happened. So.
But goddamn it,
yeah, not a lot of.
Why?
Not a lot of quick draw.
Not
real
just crazy. I was
the
livid.
unrealistic thing about a Western.
This was 25 minutes of me ranting and raving and being like, no, now you strap it on. Now you strap it on and try it. And then
you can't do it.
And after this 20 minutes, Peyton goes, I'm convinced can we watch the rest of the movie? And I was like, yeah, let me make some popcorn. And then we watched the rest of the movie and I really enjoyed it, but it drove me nuts. But I was like, okay, I get it that, we're suspending reality here, but why the fuck would you do something so stupid as that? Like there's so many other like actual cool things that they could have done. Like maybe he could have had a swivel revolver. Fucking swivel revolvers were a real thing. They were super cool. I've never seen one in a movie. Get a swivel revolver. Anything like that. But don't fucking draw a fucking left-handed cross-draw gun with your fucking right hand. And then we actually got onto it. Like I was like, okay, so maybe, right? He's a black guy, so maybe he was, maybe he's an escaped slave. We don't know anything about his backstory, so maybe he found this gun, but it was a left-handed cross-draw gun, and he was so right-handed that he couldn't figure out you know what? I just give up. It's fucking dumb.
I've got one more that I need to. One more. We can talk about westerns as long as you want. I love westerns, but one that I've got to mention that I'm sure both of you guys have seen. Fucking Outlaw Josie Wales.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think I have.
No, Clint Eastwood,
Clint
Outlaw
Eastwood.
Josie Wales.
You know what? He has so many.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to be honest, when
That's kind of like
when I go to look at his stuff, I kind of go back to the same ones just because I can't get enough of them. Obviously, the spaghetti
That's the way I am with
westerns.
John Wayne. Like how many times have I seen the Sons of Katie Elder?
Yeah, I'm not
Fucking
I've
amazing.
never
Actually,
really been a
who
big
made
John
some
Wayne
of the
fan.
for old western? Who made some of the best was
Willie Nelson was in a bunch of
Barbarossa.
no. Who's the guy in Wonderful Life? The actor.
Yeah, you're talking about
Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, Jimmy
Yeah.
Stewart made a bunch of great
Yeah,
westerns.
See, I usually don't go that far back.
Oh, he made some good ones though.
But the Outlaw Josie Wales is kind of, in my opinion, like the
I might have seen it. What's the
stereotypical. So it's about a guy who used to be a gunfighter and he hung up his guns.
Well, his family gets slaughtered during Civil War, and then by Northern guerrillas. So he joins Southern guerrillas, and becomes this fucking killer, a pretty famous killer. And then he's trying to kind of walk away from it at the end of the
he hangs
war.
up his guns and he's.
But they keep chasing him. Then he falls in, of course, runs into that awful, was it Sandra Locke or whatever that was in so many of his movies, that scrawny, unattractive blonde girl. And falls in with her and this old this old Indian dude and this old Mormon lady or whatever she is. And
but he's out of it for a while, and then he goes. Then they. Are you sure you're talking about the same movie?
The Outlaw Josie Wales, yeah.
Yeah, because I think the story is it's about a fucking old gunfighter that gives up his guns. He's happily married, whatever, and then his wife or something gets abducted, or I can't remember what happens. They get killed, and then he has to go, and he goes out and he's
Unforgiven.
It's exactly the same story as Unforgiven.
All right.
I was going to say
I might be
every other
confusing
Western.
the Unforgiven.
Unforgiven, in my opinion, Unforgiven has the best fucking western, the best scene in a western.
Is that where he is?
I'm gonna come back and kill every one of you sons of bitches. That one?
No. Well, the two scenes. One is where the guy who's the great shooter goes to kill the dude and he doesn't have the balls to do it, so he has to take the gun. That's one of them. Just showing the graphic part of the poor guy bleeding out. That or the last scene in the bar when he just openly walks in and they all panic and he's just slow as can be. Just goes. Boom. They're all like, you know what I mean? He just goes, boom. It's not about draw. It's not about anything. It's the fact that he doesn't care if he dies.
Right.
He's not panicking.
Right.
And the rest of them are all like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And they're all like, they can't shoot him.
One of the coolest things about that show was the scenes with the reporter and stuff.
Yeah.
The reporter's so curious about this shit,
Yeah.
And, that English gunfighter dude that was it Brian Dennehy again? Playing
Probably.
the bad guy.
I don't know. But Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman
was the main
Gene
bad guy.
Kicks the shit out of that that English gunfighter dude.
We should just talk about Gene Hackman, man. That guy's so fucking good.
Okay, another one. Are we done? Unforgiven, great. I may be wrong. Actually, that might be the story of Unforgiven.
Please watch The Outlaw Josie Wales.
But The Outlaw Josie Wales is also really great. But Quick and the Dead.
Wait, is this the one with Leonardo?
Yeah, Leonardo
I actually
DiCaprio.
hated that one.
And Gene Hackman
I actually hated that one.
I loved it.
Who was the There was a woman in that.
It's the chick who shows her vajayjay.
Yeah, what's her name? Silver.
Dangerously vajayjay.
I think I hated The Quick and the Dead.
I
loved
think
it.
Yeah.
It was
I think it was bad casting, but I don't think
that
the
was
script
fucking
that bad.
fantastic casting, and
I
it was
hated her in it.
And
Yeah.
well, what who gets your that was actually where I first got turned on to fucking
Vajayjay?
no
DiCaprio?
no that was
DiCaprio's
who's
vajayjay?
eating, Gilbert Grape.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Great.
Gilbert.
The fucking guy who ended up being in The Gladiator,
Russell Crowe?
Oh,
Russell Crowe.
yeah.
That's like one of Russell Crowe's first movies. I don't know if it's one of his
For
first
me, that
movies.
was, it was Romper Stomper.
Just a side note. Oh, that's a good one. That was my first one too.
Romper Stomper, yeah.
Side note: DiCaprio, This Boy's Life. You ever seen that? It's a really early film with him with De Niro, and it is messed up. It is I shouldn't even say that on camera. I wouldn't want people to think of like, yeah, go see this film, but he's really incredible in it. It's all about this
Maybe I have seen that.
heavily abused boy. It's like it's horrifying. It's a horrifying.
You know what?
movie.
I think I
But
have
he's
seen
so
that, but
fucking
I don't
good in
remember it very well. And I'm not going to watch it again because
Don't.
that shit like that fucks me up.
And I would tell people don't watch it.
Yeah.
Don't watch it. It's really heavy.
Well, we like
But I'm just
to
saying DiCaprio's
recommend movies not to
incredible.
watch. Because like The Notebook, we're always like that's our big thing. Do you have a Notebook story, Drew?
I have a great one.
Look, we got to hear it. Let's break it out.
Sweet.
So, I was dating a girl, and
That's how they.
That's how they always start.
yeah, and they were talking. She had this really cool group of friends, and it was one of those relationships when it was over. I actually mourned the friend group where it's like, oh, I lost all these cool people to hang out with. Anyways, somebody in the group had seen this movie, and they're like, oh, it's so gonna get you. You're not gonna believe the ending. Blah blah blah. And I was just like, you can't get me. I watch too many movies. Like it's. Like I'll know right away, and they were literally the person was like, "There's no way in hell you're gonna guess the ending.
Well,
there's no way in hell, right?"
That's
Well,
like
yeah. Well, and literally, I'm like, "No, I can do it. Like, there's no
It's
way."
Nicholas Sparks, not M. Night Shyamalan.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyways, the movie starts literally. I'm like, literally, you know what I mean? It's like first 30 seconds. I'm like, I got it, and everybody in the room was like, "Fuck you! There's no way." I'm like, "No." I'm like, I know what it is, and they pushed and pushed. I'm like, I'm gonna ruin the movie for you, and they're like, there's no way you know what it is, and I was totally like, husband, Alzheimer's, and everybody was like, you fucking asshole, like got up and turned off the movie.
That's a good story.
Yeah, you might have missed them, but after that relationship, they were like, I'm glad that fucking didn't work
I
out.
was
Right.
totally
Fuck
that
that
guy.
guy.
It's the only time I've ever done that, and I'm actually kind of proud of that one. But
You know what? I would be too.
I ruined the Notebook. You know what I mean? I ruined the Notebook.
You know what? You actually just saved them.
Yeah.
That was a blessing. I wish somebody could have done that for me.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
no, that movie got me.
I had a girl make me watch that and then dumped me like immediately. Just wanted you to watch that movie. Like, yeah.
What a bitch.
She's not even a psychopath. She's actually awesome, but I don't know what that part of that.
Yeah,
I
that
didn't.
doesn't seem
yeah.
right. A long time ago with Turner and Hooch. This reminds me of that a little bit. Remember Turner and Hooch?
Gone with the Wind,
So-
the Battleship Potemkin,
No, listen.
Turner and Hooch.
Think of all the shitty movies that Tom Hanks did before he got.
Turner and Hooch wasn't that bad, but anyway, it was just coming out, and me and my buddy Elijah were gonna go to it, and I mean, fuck, 17, years old, and we're like the neighbor girl, who Elijah had a crush on, he's like, hey, what are you doing? And or she's like, hey, what are you doing? And we're like, oh, we're gonna go to Turner and Hooch, and she goes, oh, it's a good movie, but so sad when the dog dies.
Oh Jesus!
And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, it's just so sad with the dog dies. And Elijah is like trying to hold it. I'm like,
Why would you do that?
I'm gonna beat up this 16-year-old girl. Like she's gonna get a Kirby. Like that's not okay.
Oh, me and my boy have this thing of like any movie we want to see, we go opening night just because of the internet. You know what I mean?
Right, you don't
'Cause
wanna-
people.
yeah.
There's not only is it
People are
ruin
assholes
it, but
about that
they
stuff.
try really hard to. You know?
Yeah, I try really hard to not like.
People did that shit with Endgame, and I was like, And I watched it, and I'm like, motherfucker, I'm like, I wish I could remember who it was on Facebook that fucking that ruined that shit for me. You know, like, I mean, they didn't ruin it. It was still emotional and all that stuff. But I was just like, you know, just the fact that they were such a fucking asshole. I was like, man, you know, best case scenario, unfriend you. Worst case scenario, show up at your fucking house. You know, like, that's bullshit. I hate that.
Beat you like Matt did that 16-year-old girl for ruining her news.
I Endgame. I'm sorry. What was the one before?
Infinity War.
Yeah. So I go to all these movies with my boy because he's totally big into all the comic stuff, and which has gotten me into it. But
yeah, they're okay.
After watching that one, I walked out just going like ruining it right away. Of like, well, the next one's Steal the Glove. You know what I mean? Of just like, there's no choice in it. Like, they've put themselves in a corner. It's Steal the Glove.
I was like, I liked Infinity War quite a bit, and was like, but I was like, Thanos is the good guy. Like, it didn't like he's actually trying to make a difference. He's like he maybe be going about it wrong, but like seriously, like he's right. There's just too goddamn many people, and we're like fucking us all up. And well, in like I should at least say, well, yeah, according to him, if what he said was accurate.
Do you want to? Here's a real stat about world population right now.
It wasn't about whether or not Thanos was actually right, though. But in that world, that what he was saying was supposedly true. Right?
I don't know if that's true because people are saying that right now. I think that's the point of like, there's a ton of people saying that's the problem with the world right now.
What were you saying about the population thing?
This is a true stat. So the way I first heard it was if you take the population, the whole population in the world, and put them arm to arm like this and make boxes, they wouldn't even cover the state of Texas, right? And then I told a buddy this who's really good with math. He's like, "There's no fucking way that's right." So he did the math on it because he thought like, "Well, it's got to be a lot more." He's like, "No, actually, everybody would get just under an acre of Texas. Like that's." Like, there's not too many people.
There's way too many fucking people.
Well, there's not too many people. That's like saying, in my opinion, that's like saying there's too many trees.
I mean, I know.
It's how people
It's
are
about
living.
consumption.
Yeah, it's how people are living. It's how they're being forced to live more than anything else. It's no different than like electric cars. If they didn't cost fucking $60,000, of course we'd own them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't have choices in these things. And then it's turned on us as in like, oh, we're this evil, overpopulating parasite on the planet. Of like, no, we're not.
I think we are.
Yeah, I think we're being taught to hate ourselves.
Well, that might be true too. And
there's not too many trees on the planet. How can you say there's
wasn't
too much
arguing
life?
that.
How much you are though? Of like, there's too much life. There's too much life.
I wasn't arguing that there are too many trees.
What's the difference?
I love trees.
You just hate people.
Most of them. They're all a bunch of dicks.
Wait, trees are dicks? I'm so fucking lost.
I mean,
sorry, I kind of went off there a little bit.
no, that's okay. I actually I like the debate. I just don't. I wish I was smarter, to be honest. Like that's what it always boils down to.
You know, I feel you. I wish you were smarter too.
Like I get. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. We always struggle with some like bigger issues. Like the one that we talk about almost every time is the big fucking mass shooting thing. Mm-hmm. You know, and how it seems like it's becoming like, you know, and like what are the solutions? Like how do you solve that problem? How do you do that?
The mass shootings?
Yeah.
Well, for one, I got to be honest. The parts that bother me the most about it are, it's not the shootings themselves, it's the stuff that's happening around it, which is like slashing budgets for mental health.
Right. Right.
I mean, I listened to this really simple documentary where it was a prison right across from a mental health facility in Chicago. And the prison people basically saying, like the people running the prison saying like, we have a huge fucking problem. There's a huge problem going on here because all those people now are in here and they're not getting the help. And we don't have a choice, but we have to let them out.
Agreed.
But there's some really people that need help.
Right.
And
I feel like that's a great place to start because I think everybody can agree on the mental health part. You know, like I've learned a little bit about like how about the fucking inadequacies of that system lately, and it's fucking mind blowing how like just inept a fucking system like we have around here locally and shit. You know, like you can't get a referral to like a mental health facility like for a lot of issues unless you walk through the doors at the emergency room. Like
Right.
you just can't see one of the fucking doctors that would be working there. You can't make an appointment with that motherfucker. You got to walk through the emergency room. You know, like what does that tell you? Well, they want to charge you for that emergency room visit. You know, like shit like that. You know, like the fucking money involved and stuff.
Well, there's,
you know, all
there's
these
a
things
problem with all of it.
fucking
With all of
horrible.
it always comes back to money.
Right.
It always comes back to money. There's no profit. There's no profit in gun control is the whole thing.
Right.
I mean, the things that aren't being talked about, every time there's a mass shooting, there's also a mass surge in gun sales.
I know.
Like that's not coincidental,
right.
you know?
Right. No,
Along with the
I remember
I'm sure that
after
there's
Sandy
mass
Hook,
sales
I
in-
know a guy who like is in the gun selling industry, and after Sandy Hook, he said, "Man, this might be the best thing that's ever happened to my business." I hate to like say it, but my God, it's ridiculous. There's literally like a run on guns, and it's like, but I don't think, and I don't like we've talked about it all the time, but I'm not very like I own a gun. I like have my license
grew up on
to
a farm.
carry.
I'm not against it.
Yeah, no,
I always
love
say I'm a
guns.
gun-toting liberal, but I don't actually think that gun control is like it might be a component of the solution, but it's definitely not like the only thing that you can do.
I honestly think politically speaking in general is like we've gotten to a place where it's so divided to a point where like people are arguing for things against their own common sense
All
and
the
their own-
time.
yeah, and that's both sides. That's both sides.
Yeah,
of doing
both
it.
sides, but
I
all
mean,
the
gun
time.
control is a really easy one. It's the simple statement of like, you know, you got to get a license for a fucking car.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just the really simple things of like, you know, there's real common sense stuff, and anybody against that of like, you're just fighting for your side.
Yeah.
You're not fighting for logic. You're not fighting
Agreed.
for morality. And
Some
both sides are
horrible
doing
arguments.
it.
Some
Both sides are
horrible
doing
arguments.
it. Yeah.
So one of the things that I keep on bringing up, and I'm just going to run it past you too, but so I think one of the problems with this whole fucking mass shooting thing is how much attention we give to the people who commit the crime.
Here's a true stat. Murder rates, even with all the mass shootings, are the lowest they've ever been in the country.
Right.
Really?
And gun violence is also lower than it's ever been. Like, and I'm talking completely out of my asshole, but I heard it the other day, so it's got to be true. But the point is that like,
So Donald Trump is making the country.
yeah, no, he's
I'm
making
just- no, that was-
he's
I'm-
making
I'm-
the country
listen.
great again. But the point is
Not
you're
about
right.
anybody's
Like
joke.
you're right. Like the mass shootings or like violence and gun violence is down, yet it's always in the news. It's always all over every fucking like thing I can't pick up anything without like hearing about it, and we talk about it every fucking week.
And there are people on your page with that too. I read a thing like the sheriff, the local sheriff, after what's his name, Ator, not to be confused with the Fighting Eagle. If you guys saw that fucking awful movie back in the day. Yeah. Anyway, it was a fucking fantasy movie, like
It's
kind of like a
constant.
Conan type.
It's
thing.
constant
horrible.
with him.
So last name Ator. The local sheriff was like, I don't want this kid to get a lot of press. I don't want this to fucking turn into his show. Like, fuck that. Not happening. You can't tell the media that shit. They're going to get theirs. You know, and you bet your ass they fucking just did a fucking end run around that goddamn sheriff, and they got all the info. They're like, yeah, well, blah, blah, which would you like to respect? But fuck that guy. Boop. Here's about this kid, you know, like, and it's fucking ridiculous.
Right.
We're fish in a bowl.
Right. But I also think that, like, if we as a nation can agree that we don't want, like, people to go into schools and kill people, which I think everybody could get on that side, right? I mean,
One would think.
more than a majority.
I pulled my kid out of school because the day that they had the protest after the big one in Florida, they had a nationwide walkout of students. Just, you know, remember that one? And there was an anti-protest at his school where the kids with pickup trucks put, you know, Confederate, don't tread on me, all the flags, and backed up to the school. Wanted to have a confrontation with the kids I was like, no. And they had 3 schools shut down in our little area within a week with threats. I pulled them out. So that's the whole thing. Like, do they?
I don't know. You would think. Okay. Well, here's my 2-cent solution is essentially that as a nation we agree to no longer cover, publicize, do anything for mass shootings.
Well, now you're hitting it on the head.
If you do a mass shooting, you're black. Like you're like blacked out media. We're not going to talk about it.
Wait, here's the whole thing though. Of like, this is what I'm talking about. Like fish in a bowl. This is just my humble opinion. I don't think that it's. I'm no way am I condoning it. No way am I saying it's good. No way am I saying anything like that. This has been going on forever. It's not a new thing.
The mass shooting things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been happening in America since I was young.
Yeah.
It used to be going postal.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
It happened all the time.
But it hasn't been so much.
In my opinion, the reality is it's the distraction of it and it's the power of what it does to us as a mass. It scares the shit out of us. It makes us great consumers. I mean, everybody just, you know what I mean? It makes you fixated. To me, it's more about what it's doing to the public than solving the issue. But that's what everything is turned into.
But how do you solve the issue?
Which one? Mass shootings?
Yeah.
Well, again, a good start is mental health.
Right,
right.
I
mean, that's a common sense one, along with like reasonable gun laws. Like, I don't care who the fuck you are and how much you love a gun. Like, you know, explain to me why these same people that are saying "pry it from my dead cold hand" are also the people that are talking about overthrowing our fucking government. You know what I mean? Of like, I want my, like, they'll go from like, you don't love this fucking country, get the fuck out. And then the next conversation, they're like, oh, me and my buddies, we're going to, you know, we have our own little militia and we're going to overthrow this motherfucker. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Get the fuck out, but you're going to overthrow it?
Right.
Like, how about we find a common ground here? How about we have an understanding of, like, what's going on and get to the issues of plain and simple of what, you know. To be honest, I'm an anarchist.
Right. I mean, I know you kind of are.
Yeah, I'm an anarchist. Just the reality of what that means, which is like, if you ain't hurting anybody, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
And guns is a great example of that. Of like, if you can, you know, if you can prove that you're mentally stable enough to own a fucking bazooka, I don't give a shit if you own a bazooka. You know what I mean? But on the same side of it, common sense would tell you, like, you shouldn't be selling fucking AR or whatever at Kmart.
So now
like,
I did hear somebody say something the other day that I was chewing on, and it's interesting. But like the idea of soft targets, you know, like basically why. So the question is, why are so many mass violence happening at schools? And the answer potentially could be that they're soft targets. It's easy to go into a school and like shoot a bunch of people because you're not going to be met with armed resistance. And armed areas have a less likely chance of whatever.
Well, I'm okay with the guards at schools thing too. Like, I'm not against that. I mean, I wouldn't really, that is not something that I've like spent a lot of time thinking about. But I mean, if it makes everyone feel safer, if it makes, you know, or like basically any fucking reasonable safety measure, I'm good with. You know, like if you've got, you know, like if dude passes like the psych eval and all this stuff, you know, and wants to work at a school, and you know, like he's not going to be like fingering anybody's buttholes and shit, and you know, we can trust him with a gun, and he's the guy for the job, you know, like fucking ideal, perfect, you know, like I'm okay with guards at schools and shit. It's not the sort of thing that we should have to do.
Well, right.
But I mean, whatever. Like, if it's going to keep people safe.
But saying it's not the sort of thing we should have to do, it doesn't matter because oh, I'm sorry, you know, that we shouldn't
have to talk about school shootings.
Right. Right. But we do because there's fucking school shootings. Like, I don't know, in Montana, Colorado as well. A lot of those places have like just open carry, like you, if you're a citizen of, I don't even know if this is true, but like, if you're a citizen of Colorado, you can carry a pistol on your hip. I mean, it's totally cool. And they don't have a lot of there's not a lot of gun violence there.
Denver's pretty bad.
Like rural areas, though. You know.
Okay, but that's I mean, that's
Is that true or not true? Or do you think rural areas are bad in Colorado?
To be honest, I bet you if you did really a correlation of like the population numbers and stuff, it's probably worse. I mean, if you think about like 1 million people live in the cities and 1,000 people live in the country, you know what I mean? Like, I
guess
bet you the correlation.
I'm not sure, but I guess what I'm wondering is like, do places where people actually have a lot of guns have less violence or more violence than places where people don't have a lot of guns?
I know
at least legal.
Chicago, they have like really strong anti-gun laws, and it's horribly violent.
Right.
To be honest, I personally don't think any of that has to do with any of it.
So that might be the real truth, is that it just doesn't matter. Like
that's the anarchist in me.
It doesn't matter whether people have guns or not.
Well, yeah. Well, to be honest, the one thing that always kills me about the whole thing is the one question that's never really asked is why. You know, and I know this would be really controversial, but how about we try to talk to them and really get to the bottom of why this is happening? You know what I mean?
Like why people go in and shoot up schools or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean,
like profile these kids and find out like what they have in common and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I would, don't you think somebody's doing that though? I mean, I would like to think somebody's doing that.
Why haven't we heard anything?
Yeah.
Why? Well, just as a general public, why haven't we even started to talk about that? I mean, to be honest, I think about in our country period, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I don't know anybody who's happy. Not really. Most people are just stressed the fuck out. Most people are not in a good place. And a lot of it has to do with just the state of our country and the state of the world as they know it and stuff like that. Frankly, especially if you're plugged into what's going on.
Yeah.
The few that I know are like kind of like, fuck it, I'm going to go grow tomatoes for a living. Right. Like those are the only people I know that are happy.
I think I'd said this before, but it's definitely true. I was reading a book a while ago about about the end of the world, whatever. And it was an alien invasion scenario or whatever. And the book wasn't even good, but there was a chapter in it where it was this young couple whose life was just fucking falling apart before the end. And he actually had to make a drug deal just to try to make ends meet because they were going to lose their house and everything. And then the end happens and they end up fucking eating granola and growing tomatoes in the backyard and they're talking, having this conversation, and he's like, and he says, I'm really happy. And she's like, I am too. And he goes, God, why do we have to wait for the fucking world to end
That's awesome.
to be happy? And she goes, I don't think we had to. I don't think we had to wait. And I was like, God damn. I was like, and that, I don't even remember the name of the book, but I was like, that is the point. You're right. A lot of people feel like they're getting all ground up. I don't. I actually really am happy.
Me too.
And you had mentioned it the other day when we were talking about the podcast, and you were like, you can just tell that Kyle and I are really enjoying ourselves doing this. And actually, the podcast is not just a small part of the happiness.
You're also growing tomatoes.
Yeah, right. And I think part of it is that I'm on. But
you're not doing
there you go.
To get rich,
right? Right.
No.
Right.
It's one of many things, and I've been thinking about, and since we started the podcast, especially, I've been thinking about a lot of it. All the things that I do to manage, the negative forces, like the stress and stuff like that. Which first off, minimize that fucking stress in any way, shape, or form. That you fucking possibly can't. Well, maybe not in any way, shape, or form. Can't kill people that are just a pain in the ass, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but you can.
Apparently, you can.
Away with it. But the working out and stuff, and and doing some writing, whether or not I fucking ever do it, whether or not you actually do anything with it, or like the podcast, all the stuff, I just set myself up for to be happy and to manage, my stress and to just tend to my happiness. And of course, and of course my wife is such a huge part of that. And, just taking care of shit, taking care of myself, taking care of my fucking happiness and taking care of my state, my frame of mind. But yeah, I am one of the happy people, but I'm in a good spot for that. Not everybody is, a lot of people have a lot more shit going on than I do.
And the thing is that it's taken a long time to get to that point. I mean, I'm 46 years old now, and I'm finally at a spot in my life. It's been about, how long ago was it? 3-4 years ago where I like kind of like drew a line in my life and decided I would just cease to do anything I didn't want to do. And that was it. Like, so if I'm doing something, it's 'cause it's what I want to do.
Well, but we, we're kind of, to be honest, all three of us are kind of outliers, if you know that whole thing.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate in the fact of, like, I'll guarantee you all three of us had a lot of people that helped us.
Oh, for
Oh
sure.
God, yes.
Let alone we got lucky in some choices, and we also have the luxury to be
Right.
able to, like, for me, play music. Are you kidding me?
Right.
It's a fucking luxury. Like,
Right.
I've just gotten really lucky. That's all it is. I mean, that's the hard part about, when we're talking about people who are in, I really think the country's in turmoil. I do. I think the mass shootings are just, it's a valve. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
just, I don't think it's that deep. I think it's that simple of, like, there's some people that are so just wound up and distraught and just, they're like, fuck it, blaze of glory. You know what I mean? But the reality of it is, it's a stressful, everybody wants to come, they act like everybody wants to come to this fucking country. It's a fucking hard place to live in, man.
Right. Can we? Yeah.
We want to look at it as like, we're so rich, we got everything for us, blah, blah, blah. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, some people are really fucking struggling just to exist.
Right.
To exist.
They want to come to this country to get their free health care. Wait a second.
It's here in the United States, we specialize in making even the most simple shit really fucking complicated. Like, everything has got to be so fucking complicated here.
Expensive. Everything's expensive.
Yeah. That's true.
I had some family
So,
members.
you like, but people don't, I always feel like people live up, like, what is the fucking phrase in animals or whatever, where, like, the population will always grow to its most
Like a tipping point?
outward bounds, right? Like,
Okay.
but like, if I mean, like, however big of a space it has, it'll take it. Okay, Jesus Christ, this is a bad analogy, but it's with, like, it happens with people all the time with money. Like, we know that, that, like, money does not equal happiness. Like, the more money that somebody makes, the more they will spend. Their lifestyle will grow to meet their income. And so it doesn't, like, it definitely doesn't guarantee happiness. Now, money can definitely, like, lack of money.
That's true to an extent. That's true once you get to a place with money.
Right.
I mean, they can prove flat out, like, people in poverty suffer. I mean,
So that was my point, though.
Yeah.
So money doesn't guarantee happiness, but the lack of it, like, definitely guarantees,
yeah.
I don't want to say sadness, but stress or like whatever, because
In our culture.
in our culture. And I think that you have two choices. You can either, like, figure out a way to make enough money where you can live comfortably, or you can figure out how to reduce your lifestyle to the point where you don't have to stress about making money. And I definitely chose, B, like, where I just have gotten to the point where I can, like, live off of nothing and I really have the luxury to be able to make the choices.
Yeah.
But I also have kids that are grown. I don't have anybody relying on me to, like, bring home the bike and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's an interesting spot. It's really liberating to be at this spot now.
That's what I'm trying to teach my 16-year-old.
Right.
Find the seam, find the niche, and, number one, something you're passionate about,
Yep.
and figure out how to get around all of it.
Right.
Like, we don't ever talk college. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
He's first before me. I'm
Yeah, you were
fuck
like,
college.
yeah, go to college and, like, learn how to play guitar.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, anything else you guys want to talk about? I want to take another little break, though. I'm floating again.
I'm getting hungry as fuck. But,
Okay, well, let's take a little break, and then we'll come
figure.
back and
That guy's
have
getting hungry.
Ed Drew just play us a couple songs on the
Nice.
way out. Sound
Perfect.
good?
Sure.
All right, let's rock it. All right, well, welcome back to Spitballin'. That's a little bit weird. Hey, welcome back to Spitballin'. I'm Matt Taylor. I'm here with my good buddy,
Kyle Amundsen.
and we have Drew Peterson in the house. Man, we've been down some rabbit holes today.
Oh,
This is
man.
going to be like a 45-minute episode, but we've been here for like 7 hours, so it'll be perfect. I just wanted to just do one more, like, movie call out because we were talking about movies,
Well,
but
we
we missed
fucking-
one of the best westerns ever.
Well, is it one of the best westerns, or is it just one that we like, that we're fond of?
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point. What is the
Why
difference?
split hairs?
And that is, of course, I just blanked on the name.
Young Guns.
Young Guns. Oh my God, I was like, what? I just blanked on the name.
And
That's
that
so
Mexican
crazy.
greaser's out there doing it with his horse.
that movie had some of the best.
That's a great example of like, is that a good movie?
I
No
think it's
means is that a well-made movie,
Right.
But it's a great movie because you like watching it.
Exactly. And I've got a lot of those, man. So many of those. Like,
yeah.
is it a great movie? Fuck no, not by any stretch of the imagination. Do I love it? Fuck. Yes, I do.
I still say, like, he's hacking on me. Like, I say that all the time.
Man.
Yeah, he was hacking on me.
But I don't expect you to know the explanation of that word.
I gotta ask one question.
Shoot.
So, as musicians, well, like this is a thing I'll ask other musicians just because I'm always fascinated by it. There's a difference in movies of like your favorite movies, right? What you think is a good movie, because there's a lot of movies that I think are unbelievably good. I'll never watch them again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are your most watchable? What are the movies? And I mean, like, it doesn't mean it's your favorite fucking movie. It doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying? Like, there is this weird category of like
Movie
you
that
just love to watch it.
Legends of the Fall.
That's a great example, yeah, because that's not a good movie.
I thought it was fucking great, but I probably watched it. I mean, I don't know if it was,
Don't get me wrong, I
love that movie.
I like the movie.
Yeah,
too.
I probably watched that movie.
It's a beautiful movie. Like it's
The scene where after Brad Pitt's brother dies and he's like in World War I and he's out there and he fucking goes totally native and is out fucking taking scalps and shit. I just fucking love that part. I love that movie.
Man, because I like a lot of shit that other people just don't fucking like. But I mean, but this one's not super uncommon, I don't think. Highlander.
It's a good one. Yeah.
Has just been always one of my favorite movies. Is it a great movie?
Good music.
Right?
Good
that sounds
music.
right.
I love that
a
movie.
pretty great movie.
The original, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
No, he's talking
absolutely.
He's
the
talking,
original.
he's talking about the TV series, right? You're talking about that,
Or like
right?
the fifth one, another one with fucking Mario Van Peebles in it or whatever. No, but that first one, one of my all-time favorite movies. Is it a spectacular? Like, is it super well done? Probably not.
That's another great bad guy, though, the Kurgan.
There's not even that much overlap between really well done movies and my favorite movies, except for like LA Confidential, I think. But
Yeah, that was an alright one.
So where I ever came up with this question is Bergman, the director who's like most people thinks one of the greatest that ever lived. When he basically retired, he just had this cabin. I think he's from Sweden. He had this cabin on an island, middle of nowhere. And when he died, they went through he had this huge movie collection, and that's one of the things they found is like. That's one of the things he enjoys. I do too, which is really weird. I'm not saying I'm anywhere close to Bergman in any way, but I find like a lot of creative people, they like to rewatch movies. Like it's a weird thing.
So
they
what's
do,
yours?
yeah.
What's your like?
Oh, I got a lot of them, but yeah, I mean,
Well, what's your like? What would you call it? Like your something pleasure? What's it called?
guilty pleasure.
Guilty
ones.
pleasure.
That's
one,
that
yeah.
was Bergman's. That was the funny thing is Bergman's had really strange ones. I want to say like Weekend at Bernie's. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah.
Hey, fucking great movie.
was it? I didn't
They
like
could,
that
they could
movie.
tell because I think he even like charted what he did for his day still because of the director in him. When he was getting old, he still wanted to like keep busy or whatever. But he showed the movies he kept watching over and over, and there was weird ones like that of like
Weekend at Bernie's.
the man who like Life in the Water and Wild Strawberries, and he fucking spent his golden years watching Weekend at Bernie's. I love that.
Well, so what's one that you like?
Oh, let's like comedies. I'm Dumb and Dumber. You gotta go
that's
with
a good
Dumb and
one.
Dumber.
Yeah.
Lebowski. Like I know everybody says that, but
Yeah,
it's a great fucking movie.
You know what's weird?
They say
But
that for
I
a
am
reason.
not a big fan.
Go back to it. I to be honest, I shouldn't admit it.
Maybe I
'cause it
should
makes me sound
try.
horrible, but I didn't like it at first.
I didn't
But
either.
get
I
it.
fucking
didn't-
hated it at first. I saw it in the theater and I was pissed off. But then after my expectations were a little tempered and stuff like that, I appreciate it a lot more. It's not one of my favorites, but I do enjoy it now. It's still
I
pretty
don't.
good.
It's in my top
I have
10.
a really hard time with the Coen Brothers, man. I want to like them, but
I
Jesus
adore
Christ.
them. When they're on, there's no one better.
See, I thought
There's no one better. Hey,
I wasn't a big
Blood
fan of
Sample?
Fargo.
Oh, Fargo's great. If you don't like Fargo,
I didn't like Fargo.
Miller's Crossing.
Yeah,
I don't even remember. I watched it, don't remember.
I watched it and I don't remember it
Barton
either.
Fink. Oh man, I fucking love.
But wait, that's the one about the.
Yeah, the writer.
Is that John Goodman?
Yeah.
No, what's the one about the Jewish
John
family that in Minneapolis?
A simple man. That was boring as shit.
Just like
that was horrible. Yeah.
Oh.
That's
not
what
a
I'm
Coen
saying.
Brothers
They're
fan.
really
Raising
hit or miss.
Arizona.
Okay,
Like,
That's a pretty
that
fun
I
movie.
liked Raising
I
Arizona.
loved it back then. I actually tried rewatching it and I was like, this is a pile of shit.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
see, I haven't watched it in a long time.
You know what? I didn't watch it. I didn't enjoy it that much the last time I tried to watch it. I didn't. Yeah, but I mean, I did like it.
Sometimes I get the menstrual cramps real hard.
There was some funny ones.
That was
the scene
the group therapy or whatever.
The scene where he like leans down too and he looks and somebody like wrote, what was it, like poop on the wall or something. It gets me every time. That's right.
That was the one.
Yeah, group therapy. The guy's like, why would you say a woman? A woman trapped in a man's body. Sometimes I get the menstrual cramps real hard.
Oh, Brother, We're Out though.
Classic.
Oh, see, I didn't like that one either.
Shut up.
No, I didn't. Which is weird.
Country for
Country
for Old Men.
No, I hated that.
I didn't enjoy that movie
What is?
either.
Oh my god, guys.
Yeah, I have like a
Dude.
blank spot with the Coen Brothers.
Watch them again. I'm serious. Watch, especially that one, because I swear that's up your alley.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
Really?
Dude, there's so much great filmmaking in that.
Yeah, I can respect the filmmaking.
My favorite
part
part in that whole movie is when they just show the floor. What do you know? He choked that guy out. They don't show him choking the guy out, right? They just show the fucking floor, and the floor is covered in little tiny nicks from his feet, like the little boot marks. Oh, that's just great fucking filmmaking.
Do you ever like sometimes like I'll see a movie that I know like critics loved or whatever, and you know is supposed to be like sometimes I'm like sometimes the more artsy a film is, the less I goddamn enjoy it. You know, like,
well, that's where I'm saying I try to even avoid when I hear, stuff like that, because it builds it up to a point where it kind of ruins it.
and then
I think that's the Coen Brothers' problems. I think they've drank their own Kool-Aid. You know what I mean? I think like they've, they kind of trying to be too
They're
artsy.
like, I can make a movie about a Jewish teacher that was the most boring thing.
I don't know. Have you ever seen Happiness? That was a fucking horrible movie.
Oh, what's the one
The Man Who
I
Knew
just
Too
watched?
Little, that's the other one. I've like, that's, oh my god.
What's the one about the musician?
Louis Davis, yeah,
Is that what it's called? Louis Davis.
something like that.
It's it has Justin Timberlake is in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to rewatch it. I couldn't get through the first one.
I really, really liked it. And I really liked the music in it. But the fucking end was like, oh my God, you motherfuckers. Like, it's just like, I just don't,
See,
I don't get it.
nowadays, I got in a lot of foreign films for a long time, and that's where like I've definitely changed on.
As far as comedies
I
go.
hate it when it's the opposite. I hate when they resolve it these days.
When you mentioned
Yeah, but that
Kurosawa,
one
I was
horrible.
like the nerd shirt I had like in my cart, but I like put back because I was spending too much money on shirts 2 weeks ago. I ordered like 13 nerd shirts, but one of them it just said directed by Kurosawa, and I was just like, I like that shirt because and why? That's not like I know that much about. I don't know that I've only seen a couple of Kurosawa films, like Seven Samurai.
Me too.
Shit,
I'm no expert, that's for sure.
I mean, I've seen a bunch of
he's
them.
like the source of like Star Wars.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And he's like the Magnificent Seven,
yeah.
which it's been the template for almost every Western movie, and a lot of his movies are like that.
And that's the thing about like Westerns and shit like that. You watch, you see different, it's not even, there's only so many stories, like I remember people used to be like I'd always hear, about Avatar. Oh, it's just Dances with Wolves. I'm like, well, fucking how many original ideas do you think are out there?
That's actually 101 school or filmmaking. They will tell you there's only, I forget what, is it 4 or 5?
Not very many
It's
plots.
man against man against himself, man against
nature,
and then maybe it's 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it's
and we've got
It's
like
freeing,
archetypes
though,
and stuff
when-
like that. And
I mean, they call it a trope, like that's what like Avatar, Dance with Wolves, they're both that that trope of like the noble native kind of thing. Yeah, but fucking Dances with Wolves was a great movie.
It was.
And as was
like that
Avatar.
one. Well, I had one issue with, and I still do.
With Dances with Wolves?
Yeah. Well, for one, like, why did he have to fall in love with a white woman? Like, what, you know what I mean? Why was all of a sudden there's a random white woman? And then more importantly, why the fuck did she have teased hair? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Even back then, I was like, really? Like, really?
Fair.
Like, you know that he had some sit down with some exec, and they were like, you can't just fall in love with a native woman. You know, we need a romantic involved. You know what I mean? It's just like
that. Okay.
Besides that,
I can get that.
That's a great.
Other
film.
than that, pretty good movie.
Yeah,
that one holds up.
When he's
well,
just slowly riding off and he's yelling his name from the cliff of like, "I'm your friend."
Yeah.
Every time I'm like,
yep. I don't anymore, but I had that part memorized in, Sioux or Dakota or whatever.
Nice.
Like from the movie, I had that all memorized.
I just do Tatonka a lot of times when I'm like when I realize I'm not getting across a point, and it's always lost. It's one of those, I reference movies all the time, and I'm like, when I'm saying something and people are understanding, I'm like, Tatonka. And they're always like, what? I'm like,
I do too. But I will, like, I'm the king of the fucking dated reference too. I'll reference a movie and I'll be, and I'll do it, like, I'll do it at work or something. Like, when I should fucking know better, I'm like, oh, well, these fucking, this 19-year-old kid has no fucking idea what I'm talking about when I reference fucking Fletch, or Caddyshack or something. Yeah. Like fucking Gunga Gunga Galunga. Like, no, fucking, that shit just doesn't work today.
First time I ever felt old, I was working on a landscaping crew, and I was talking to some of the other guys about, like, are you excited for the new Star Wars? They're doing another 3, And I'm not kidding. Like, guys I was working with, they're like, what's Star Wars?
Oh.
Well, that's okay. So old in my life. I was like, what? How can that happen?
That's okay. Last week on the episode, Christine was on, and she was
my wife,
and we were trying to. I was trying to explain Mandalorian. I built a Mandalorian helmet, and
nice.
She was like, I had no idea what we were talking about, and then finally we started talking about the Mandalorian.
I'm pissed about that, by the way, but keep going.
The Mandalorian or what?
Yeah,
really?
Damn it, I don't want to buy another fucking channel just to,
Do you have Hulu?
No.
Okay, because I mean, it's like they're gonna package it with like Hulu, ESPN,
yeah,
like
but
all
that's
these.
like $100-something bucks for that one with no commercials.
It's like $13.
Really?
I mean,
the one that I looked up was like
maybe that's a yearly payment or something.
Yeah,
because I pay monthly, but. I mean, it's super, like, I looked at it and I'm like, okay, this is super reasonable, and fuck, like.
With no commercials?
Yeah.
For me, that's the key right now. I can't
do commercials. I can't even watch, like, today, like, I would be upset about missing the game. Only I just DVR football games now because I don't watch fucking commercials. Life is too short,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw your post. Because then you're pissed off when they like stop it at the end of the commercial, and you're like,
yeah, because
like,
my DVR
I want to keep going through the rest of it.
The worst fucking DVR I've ever had.
So, then later on, we're talking about the Mandalorian, and Christine is like, I thought that was a helmet, and I was just like.
But her great quote. What was her nerd quote?
I was not introduced to nerd until I met Kyle. That was a good episode.
Oh, I just thought of one. And it fits 2 categories. It's one I love to watch, and it's a Western. The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward. It's slow moving.
It is. I remember really liking it, but I only watched it the one time.
Oh, it's just a gorgeous movie. And
I hate Casey Affleck.
Besides the one, he's pretty good in it though. Like,
I never finished the whole thing.
Oh, dude, it's almost like this meditation movie. It's like, besides the scene where like he's going berserk on the kid and beating the shit out of him, that's like, I'll fast forward that part. It's just too. And Brad Pitt's actually good in that scene, which he's normally horseshit. But besides that,
see, I like Brad Pitt.
I think Brad Pitt's a great actor. You don't?
Are you
no, I like Legends of Fall, man. Legends of the Fall.
He's had his moments.
Fight Club.
I'll say he has
Fight
his
Club.
Moments. Yeah. Well, Fight Club, 12 Monkeys. Jesus,
12 Monkeys?
Great in that.
12 Monkeys was good.
Yeah.
True Romance.
That was a great
fucking
True Romance.
That's his fucking Josh.
It probably is that fucking True Romance. That's like one of the best That's one of the best bit parts
That
of
is
all
the-
time.
Yeah, it is.
Condescend me, man. Fucking kill you.
Just the fact that he's the only one that doesn't die is like that makes that whole movie. They kill everybody they see, but they're like him, like whatever,
fuck
he's
it.
not gonna know what the fuck's going on. No, he's had his moments, and 12 Monkeys is like his Joshua Tree. You know what I mean? Like he's never done anything better than that.
Yeah, even though I'm not like I didn't really love 12 Monkeys. Well, I don't know. I probably watched it 10 times, but I fucking loved Brad Pitt in 12 Monkeys.
Dude,
You know,
And I like Troy too, but that was just a great cast. It wasn't especially because of him. Eric Bana was great in that, and fucking
yeah. I mean, it was okay. I felt like it was.
entertaining.
Yeah, it was
Watching
alright.
the old guy act for the last time, that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the old guy.
O'Toole,
yeah.
Peter
Oh,
O'Toole.
yeah, I kind of remember that. I don't know.
It didn't fit in because he was too good in comparison.
Do you know that during the
Do you
shooting?
know what I'm talking about? It was totally like. Do you ever seen Streetcar Named Desire?
Yeah, I mean,
No.
It's literally like if you want to like I tell people this, like, you want to understand the difference between good acting and bad acting. So Brando was like the first to do real character acting, right? To bring it out of like this time period of like, oh, you know what I mean? And in that movie, there's still people acting that way against him. Like, that's kind of how that movie felt to me. It was
Now
like,
I want to see
Okay.
it.
So do see it because I mean, he's great.
I think I
in it.
have seen it. But
He's great. In
so
it.
long
Brando's
ago.
so good in it.
And Peter O'Toole was in Lawrence of Arabia, right? That was him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, yeah. Oh.
It really was, though. I mean, if you think about it, like those two seen together, it was like one guy's acting and the other guy. I think they even didn't give him a lot of lines because they knew it was just not going to stand up. Like, what does he do? He kind of stands there and like, that's it. Like, please give me my son.
As far as comedies go, Office Space. That's one that like
Oh, it's a
I'll
touchstone.
break out every once in a while.
I enjoyed that movie, but I don't think I liked it as much as everybody else did.
Jeff Daniels, did you guys ever see Escanaba in the Moonlight?
No.
I don't want to build it up too much. Look it up, but I will say there was one scene in it. It's just totally childish, but it made me laugh hard. Like one of the hardest times I laughed at a movie.
What was it called again?
Escanaba in the Moonlight. It's a very redneck movie. It's all about this dude. It's Jeff. He wrote it and directed it. Jeff Daniels. I think it's the only movie he's done.
This guy's come up a lot.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I brought him up though.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's all about he feels cursed because he hasn't gotten a buck in his whole life. Yeah.
Wow. It's like a Minnesotan movie.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's UP. It's Youpers.
Oh.
Yeah. You'd like it. It's funny.
I think I'll like it. Yeah.
It's not very well made, but it has its moments.
Huh.
It's funnier if you know Youpers, actually. But
Well, I don't really. I mean, I know
love-
Upper Peninsula.
go, man. It's one of my favorite places.
I want to
on
go
the planet.
because Bell's. That's where the Bell's Brewery is. In what is it? I can't remember, but it's in the UP. What's the? I don't know.
Upper Hand's up there.
Something. Start with a K. But yeah, that's my favorite beer though. Is Bell's Two Hearted Ale. They do not pay us, but they can.
In beer.
Well, that would be fine.
Gangs of New York.
Eh,
Watchable. I love watching that movie.
I mean,
I didn't like it the first time I watched it. Oh man, it's a beautiful movie to rewatch.
I did enjoy that. And yeah, I did not, I didn't like it nearly as much the first time. But I think
in a villain?
Daniel Day-Lewis is kind of tough for me.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
dude,
man.
I mean,
that is one of my favorite characters ever and one of my favorite acting performances. is
Well,
when
I
he's
warmed up to
playing-
him.
Oh my god! I have
The
a buddy
Butcher.
who literally has his portrait on the wall, and every time I'm like, "Fuck yeah, man!" Like Bill the Butcher.
Last of the Mohicans, like
so
he was
good.
fucking great in that, and that was a great that was like a true cinematic movie. I mean, it was gorgeous.
I feel like that was kind of groundbreaking in some way. They really, I don't remember like a lot of movies being shot like that previous to that. I don't know.
I don't.
Man,
That would,
Hey,
yeah,
well,
I remember that being just
It was
incredible.
epic. Oh, leg cramp. Yeah, I think we're going back to it. Like that's the whole thing. It reminds me of like an epic like Gone.
Right. Yeah, it was beautiful. It wasn't. They didn't do a great job with the story. Like they had to kind of
never read
cut
the
her
original,
down.
so I didn't-
Honestly, I don't actually think I did either. But
well, because it's fucking written in like
That's actually one I go back to and watch all the time.
yeah.
I love that movie.
Oh, if it's on, I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's a tough read.
Yeah, I don't think I got through it. I think I tried and was like, man, I think I'm good.
I think I read like a kind of translated to modern day version of that.
Drew, you dying over there?
I'm getting leg cramps. It's this chair. I gotta eat a banana. Is that not a weightlifting thing?
Yeah, you need potassium. That's why you. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and actually, but you probably need a salt.
I hit the gym earlier.
Yeah, actually, you probably are salt deficient. That's actually where mostly or any kind of
I'm
cramping
really
comes from.
deficient in a lot of stuff. But
Yeah. Because everybody thinks they're dehydrated, and you are dehydrated. But the problem is, people will say, "Well, but I drank a lot of water, but you probably didn't have enough sodium." And then,
Yeah,
so
it's
then you don't
that
hold
sodium
on to the
potassium
water.
balance.
Yep. Crazy.
you guys are geeks.
Oh, I know we're so fucking geeky. It's ridiculous.
All
Well,
the time.
in the gym. I mean, I get cramps all the time because I train a lot. And I don't know about a lot anymore, but when I was training a lot, I'd get a lot of cramps, and that was a big thing. I'd actually take salt pills and drink coconut water, and then because that's a lot of potassium.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, coconut
Get a
water is
coconut
like
water when I get home.
way more. All right, well, are you to play us a couple songs or what? We were we didn't intend to go down that journey. I know when we talked
do one
about.
more.
That's what we do, though.
What's that?
Let's do one more.
Do one more what?
You were saying like do 3, but let's just do 1.
What do you want to play?
Well, you asked for Uncle. I'll do Uncle.
Oh, do you got it?
Yeah, I think I remember this one.
Fuck yeah.
Maybe I don't remember it. Oh, that was awesome. As I know, a couple walks, keeping hand in hand, Henry still up. Oh, that's what I did wrong. It's in the wrong key.
Well, that's Henrietta.
Isn't that what you asked for?
Well, that's what I asked for. He said uncle.
Oh, Uncle.
But-
Uncle. Yeah, here's one. Here's one for you. I don't give a fuck what Kyle wants to hear. I was told that was a joke from
His
last.
co-writing credits on this one because this was my joke from last week.
I heard about that. Uncle. I don't play this song nearly enough. As I know, a couple walks kept hand in hand. Henry said, I love you, Edna, to be your man. Eddie said, I love you, Henry, but you move a little fast for me. I'll buy you 2 scoops of ice cream, we can play in the park. That guy behind them trees once it gets a little dark. A spider on the swing set, both can swing our feet. 'Cause that moon don't really shine, it's just sunlight what you'll find. And these words don't make you mine, but that's alright. In spite of all the things you say, I still love you anyway. If you're alright, then I'm okay, and that's just fine. That's just Oh, Edna, how'd you like to begin again? We could run away, you and me, to the Caribbean. The straw hats, the Rolling Stones, buy you a new bikini. Oh, Henry, what the hell is wrong with you? My days of beaches and bikinis are long through. Could book a bath about as good as it gets for me. 'Cause that sun don't really shine. It says slowly, I'll be fine. And your words are crazy but kind, so that's alright. In spite of all the things you say, I still love you anyway. If you're alright, then I'm okay, and that's just fine. That's just
Man,
It's been a while. I butchered that one.
You're great.
it was great.
All right. So we don't really know exactly what's coming up next. Though we are talking about going out to the Chameleon Cafe next week. And doing a little show out there. So that might be kind of fun. But whatever it ends up being, it's going to be a blast.
We'll get there soon. We just gotta,
figure it
get
out.
everything lined up. We got a bunch of guests that I'm excited about. A bunch of people that we've already talked to and stuff like that. Man, yeah. We'll keep you posted.
Yeah. And again, you can find all of Drew's music on drewpetersonmusic.com. I think is what it is.
Yep.
Yep.
I think so.
I'm always over.
Or Dead Pigeons or 40 Watt Bulb.
Yeah, just Google
Search
him.
him, but
He's out there. Yeah.
I'm not
and
the
you got
guy
a
who
new
killed his
album.
wife or killed his girlfriend.
You're not?
I get that a lot.
Is that a Drew? Oh.
The cop, Drew Peterson. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've even been told, like, you should
I
think
mean-
about changing. I'm like, fuck that guy.
You have sung songs about killing your wife.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
You know, it's
Just-
pretty hard
just
not
a
to.
song, though.
It's pretty hard not to. Pretty hard to, deny it. And then you got a new album dropping. When is that happening?
Just trying to finish the artwork.
Yeah?
Yep.
That's
Looking
cool.
for a good illustrator to finish out some work, but it's done. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Hopefully this fall.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah.
And Drew also plays at in Brainerd here. Even though I said the sound sucks, don't listen to me. Go
It's
watch
a great
it.
place. Yeah.
It's at the
a fun-
Roundhouse. Really,
it's
it's
a
super
vibe.
fun. Yeah, it does. I'm disappointed that you can't hear the music well.
They'll
but
probably work on that.
They will. Well, because I'm
in
going to
their
pressure them.
defense,
But
too, there's
but
so much money to do that. Like,
but-
it's so expensive to
we'll
sound
figure it out.
reinforce.
Whatever. We'll start it.
You go
We'll
help
start a
them do it.
GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to talk to him about it because it's something that I definitely would like to see. But I'm just super excited that there's a venue that's actually doing music in
Yeah.
Brainerd.
It's a cool place,
and
too.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So keep your eye on that and check him out. Anything else, boys?
Man, I've got nothing.
I'm
Drew?
so
Thanks
hungry.
for
I'm
having me out.
about
This
ready
was
to
super
take a
fun.
bite out of your boob
Man,
here.
Thanks for coming on.
really
This has
appreciate
been
Yeah, that's great. I love any time I get to talk to you. It's a blast.
And man, I love how into movies you are. Like that's we talk about. Like it's a big chunk of our stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm serious. Musicians, it's really common for me of like, because musicians don't want to talk music,
Sure.
Not if you've been doing it long enough. It's like, I don't want to talk shop. So
Right.
what else are you going to talk about?
Right.
And we always have downtime. We're always, sitting in hotel rooms. Like, you can only beat off so many times.
Right,
You know?
which is a lot.
Challenge accepted.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will see you guys next
We're not
week.
going to really end on that note, are we?
No,
We're not
that's
gonna
it.
end with
Right.
me
Wait,
saying,
we're done.
My
Drew
wife is going to be so
waxing
pissed
up.
at me.
What?
She's like, I can't believe you
Hi,
said
Jen.
that.
It's good to see you.
Can't believe you ended that way.
All right. Bye.
Well, don't you go walking, watch your ass real from behind. Well, ain't much of talking, but a cat coattail, you change your mind. I was liking your Bergman, curves like Sophia Brown. Hey, baby, I'm not looking, I'm gawking, and I'll blink just to do it again, 'cause you look so good to me. It must be a sin, yeah. The promise I'll say, Uncle, when you say, well, when you say, well, they ask for your number, sarcastically you yell, it's in the book. You being an angel and all, the Bible's where I decided to look. Well, I pray, Father, if she could be mine, just give me a sign. So when I got bus stop tattooed on my forehead, busy looking at your behind, because you look so good to me. It must be a sin, yeah. I promise I'll say, Uncle, when you say, well, when you say, well, well, I can see it now. 12 kids, 2 cats, and a dog. I'll pile my pickup truck. Downhill with fire. A pillar's push, plumb out of luck. up my fiddle, they'll call me Paul, we'll dance till daylight. Because you look so good to me. It must be a sin, yeah. The promise I say, uncle, you will say when